Call to order Columbia Borough Council regular meeting for June 23rd, 2026, 7 p.m. 7:04. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Cooper,
Here.
Council President Kaufman,
Here.
Councilperson Byers,
Here.
Councilperson Zink,
Here.
Councilperson Deasy,
Here.
Councilperson Murphy,
Here.
Councilperson Ziegler,
Here.
and Mayor Lutz.
Here.
Thank you.
Does anybody like to give an invocation? Please stand for a moment of silence. And Councilman Cooper, you can just say the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcement of executive sessions. A session was held on June 9th, 2026 to discuss a personnel matter. And at 6 p.m. this evening, we had an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Additions, deletions, and reorganization of the agenda. Anybody?
Yeah. Do you need, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Zink, second by Councilman Murphy to approve the agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Citizen comments. Mary Wickenheiser. 7:06.
Good evening.
Good evening.
One comment on the sign-up sheet. Why still have the topic column there? There'd be more room for people because people coming in usually speak on more than one topic. It just seems, just the thought there, okay? We give more room for name and address. Okay, first off, I wanted to thank, Jake's not here tonight, but I wanted to thank him and his crew for the fantastic job they did down at the River Park on that bank down there. They cleaned out the vegetation, they trimmed up the trees. There's a lot more room for people to fish down there. Also, a lot better view of the river from there. Staying on the River Park, needless to say, those of us who boat out of there would certainly like to see better enforcement of the parking down there. The other day, there were 8 vehicles parked down there, no trailers. I was down there on Saturday the 13th for an event in the Columbia Crossing. There were 5 vehicles in the parking lot. I made a call. Needless to say, went to county dispatch. When I came out an hour and a half later, the 5 cars were still there, but there were no tickets on any of them. The other meeting, a couple meetings ago, when a gentleman identified himself as Moises, who I said was my neighbor up there on 6th Street at 6th and Avenue G. And he spoke of the issue with getting in and out of that alley there. If you look at that alley in particular, there are storm inlets on all 4 corners of 6th Street on either side of that alley. And what has happened is painting the blue for the storm sewer has totally wiped out any yellow lines that were there. So I don't know what can be done, and I'm sure there's other places in town where yellow lines have been painted over. I think we need to prioritize which is the more important, identifying storm sewer inlets or allowing for what sight distance we can get at intersections and alleys. I'll get back to the cat ordinance again. I would like to know, as part of that ordinance, there is supposed to be yearly reporting to the borough on intake and disposition of each feral cat, the number that are being spayed, neutered. Is this being done? Is the borough receiving reports?
CCAT gives a quarterly report, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I still think you need to go back to the elimination of the open feeding. And the other thing I will say is being in between two approved colonies. Why don't you check with neighbors before colonies are approved? With zoning, if something affects a neighborhood, there are postings. No, you just approved. My quality of life up there is horrible right now. Now there's a couple of them up there that are fighting all the time. We're having cats meowing for hours at a time up there. It's getting ridiculous. Ordinance 966, the data center. I think it's a very strong ordinance. I hope you move forward with it. I did mention that I'm no longer chair of planning commission, but the fact that I attend these meetings, when things happen at these meetings, I try to bring them back to planning. And I did advise them that there was an ordinance in the works better to regulate data centers. And I have a question on the resolution on decorum.
Yes.
I feel contradiction here. You have under number 3, public participation, about the time limit and such. And then it says no additional comments. There will be no further public comment opportunities after the designated public comment section concludes. Comments on new matters arising later in the meeting will be heard at a future meeting. And then you go further under number 4, rules of conduct, D, obtaining the floor. Members of council wishing to speak must first obtain the floor by being recognized. Members of the public wishing to comment on agenda items should approach the microphone. So are we,
I saw that. I was
what's
gonna point
the,
that out.
you know, which one is going to happen? The no comment at all?
We'll have that discussion.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I've gone through my list.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
And, Mr. President, if I can make a comment to Mary on the data center ordinance. Mary, there were a few things, I was rushing through that last week, and there's a couple of things that I realized changes I wanted to make that I didn't, and changes that I should have, that I made but shouldn't have. So there may be a few things we discussed tonight change-wise, but.
Okay, our next person is Kathy Beza.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're okay? All right. Colette Shaw.
Hi, thank you, council and neighbors. Thank you for the decisions you've made so far about the data center. I live right next to that land. I've had a chance now to see the spirit of social media, and I try to see with the benefit of the doubt. I believe our community does have a consensus that we don't want data centers, but I don't see citizens stepping up to help. I see what people don't want, and I don't often see what is maybe wantable. So I would offer, if you would like, to put a group together to try to network with developers. This is not my area of expertise, but I do have expertise in leadership and networking and picking up the phone and seeing, and some of this has probably been done and I need to educate myself, but I would love to use the expertise we have in our citizenship to try to draw folks that are worthy of Columbia, and maybe steer the conversation away from just AI or not AI in our backyard. And I don't know who to talk to see if there could be an exploration of an initiative like this.
So are you saying about bringing a business into the property?
Yep.
Okay. So we have rules that we have to follow as far as state rules.
Right.
We have to auction it. And then if we cannot be successful after 2 auctions, we can turn it over to a realtor. At that point, maybe that group may be necessary.
I think right now I'd love to have wonderful places
But-
want to be part of that auction. And the better places we have, it's better for all of us. And the more we include citizens in that conversation, I think you'll get a lot less heat. I'm trying to turn complainers into collaborators. And I have tried to put a little bit out there on social media to just say, I hear what people don't want, but what are we all willing to do, and not just put it on, a dozen people that you're busy, we're busy, but together, maybe we could draw some folks. I think we're all networked in ways, and we all have power that we don't realize. And I've got the time and I have the energy, and if I can help, I need somebody with the expertise on the government stuff. We need expertise in the business stuff. And so I'd like to help, but I don't know who to talk to.
When you, later on, give me your phone number, please.
Okay, I thought I did that last time I was here, and
No, I don't think so.
all right, Jean, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have it.
You have it?
I have it.
Here, Chief.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Our next speaker is Jesse. Robin Woods.
Rabinowitz.
Every time I say it differently.
Yeah. All right. Good evening. My name's Jesse Rabinowitz, live over on 6th. On June 9th, Mayor Lutz made a proclamation that Columbia Borough would officially recognize June as Pride Month. Listed among his reasons include desiring those identifying as LGBT to feel valued, safe, and free from bullying. I believe these are good things for every human to enjoy because man is created in the image of God.
Can you get on the mic a little more? 'Cause
A little bit
I'm
more?
having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, how's that?
Thank you.
I'll hold this up so I could look up a little better. Because man is created in the image of God. We are to value, respect, and show kindness to one another simply because of who made us. No matter what group you fall into, your worth as a human is the same. That being said, I do not believe that publicly celebrating those identifying as LGBT or Pride is the best way to value and respect every person's worth as an image bearer of God. To begin, this proclamation is an open door for public celebrations of homosexuality and pride, which undermines our community. I believe these things to be morally wrong, as do many others in Columbia. Pride is generally repulsive because it is the opposite of humility and service, elevating yourself over others. And pride in your sexual orientation is not a stable foundation for your life individually or for unity as a community. To live in a way contrary to how God made us as humans actually devalues your worth as an image bearer of God. Everything you try to make the foundation of your life apart from God will ultimately fail and crumble beneath your feet. Additionally, Giving a month of recognition to someone simply based on their sexual preferences is by no means equal treatment under the law. It is in fact putting them above all others. I understand commemorating a particular event with significance to a town, city, state, or country, but giving special recognition to a group based solely on the fact that they exist is not equal. It is logically inconsistent to seek equality by elevating one group above others. So I, my family, and some of the men in this room wholeheartedly reject this proclamation and ask Mayor Lutz to retract it. I want to see a Columbia where families are comfortable walking to downtown, enjoying our rich history, shopping in our 34 antique shops, and sitting down for a bite at Hinkle's without having one group's flag publicly flying over the town. It does not represent the whole community. It is not the way to combat bullying or general unkindness, and it is not equal treatment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I respond?
Yes.
Many times in the past 25 years, I've been asked to do proclamations. And usually it's a proclamation on something that is bona fide. I look at this Pride Month as it was a national thing. It was bona fide. Whether I agree with it or not is not material. I have my own personal feelings and beliefs, but as mayor, if I am asked to do something for a group that is basically recognized nationally, I probably will do it. I will do it. I have not turned them down. But if you look at the proclamation, and let me make these 2 points. If you look at the proclamation, these are the 2 parts in the proclamation that I was trying to stress throughout. And you alluded to it a little bit, Jesse. And those 2 points are, this nation was founded upon the principles that every person is created equal, that each has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that each shall be accorded the full recognition and protection of law. And then further down, it is essential that our LGBTQ1A youth be accorded the freedom to be themselves without fear and live fear from reprisal, discrimination, or bullying. Those are the 2 points that I wanted to make with this proclamation, that basically, no matter who you are, what group you identify yourself with, you have these rights. So that's why I did that proclamation, and I will stand by it. I will not retract.
Our next speaker is Emily Brolich.
Thank you. Good evening. I did have a question before I begin. If the ordinance 966, I might have missed it, but I wasn't sure if just based on process, if that's published ahead of time for public to view. Okay.
It's in with the agenda items.
Okay. Thank you. So as council considers zoning changes for the light business designation at the McGinnis property to conditional use for data centers, I want to begin by just thanking each of you for listening to resident input and thoughtful deliberation thus far for such a consequential land use as a data center. I urge each member to recall the dozens and dozens of public comments made over the course of the last 3 meetings, expressing concern for such a land use so close to homes in our community. I share many of those same concerns. However, one concern that has not been brought up is environmental justice. Nearly the entirety of Columbia Borough is designated by Pennsylvania DEP as an environmental justice community. Environmental justice mapping reflects the overall disproportionate impact of environmental effects on vulnerable populations by comparing one census block to all others in the state. It takes into account things like exposure to pollution, on sensitive populations, such as those experiencing higher incidence of asthma or cancer, and those without health insurance, among other socioeconomic burdens. Columbia ranks in the 98.5th percentile of pollution burden. In its holistic form, environmental justice seeks the meaningful involvement of all people in decision-making and other actions that affect human health and the environment. Consideration for environmental justice and decision-making seeks to protect all residents, regardless of income, from disproportionate and cumulative impacts of environmental and other burdens. It further involves the prevention of future environmental injustice. Columbia hosts a fair share of industrial uses within the borough. In fact, at previous meeting, resident Kathy Umbleton noted that parcels in the borough are already zoned industrial, and many of these properties are longtime businesses that are fully integrated into the community fabric of our town. They are in distinct contrast to what a data center would entail. The constant noise and heat burden from data centers is well documented in dozens of other communities. The current zoning designation for the McGinnis property as light business does not encompass all of the environmental externalities Columbia Borough would bear. And data centers that function as mini power plants by creating some of their own energy demand on site would create further concern for toxic air pollution and particulate matter. So I would just urge any council that any conditional use ordinance on data centers should consider Columbia's existing designation as an environmental justice area, as well as cumulative environmental burdens that we already bear, and how much more that we can bear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Barry Dietz. Yes. No problem.
Okay, hi, my name is Barry. I live on 345 Cherry Street. My property abuts to the fire incident. Just a couple questions maybe, and maybe it's early in the game, I understand. They started cleaning up today. They did a pretty good job today. My concern is, are they going to put some kind of security fence around the whole area? Or are they going to do something where my yard butts up against the block wall up there? Or do I have to purchase material and build the fence myself? Like I said, I know it's early. If anybody has thought about it, it'd be great just to let us know through a letter or whatever. It's fine.
Barry, I can get your phone number then and give you a call. I can follow up. Okay, we have it. So I'll follow up with you on that.
I've been talking to numerous people, Bud Letty for one,
Sure.
Paula Diffenderfer. They're trying to keep me up to date the best they can. I know they're busy, and just for my own self-satisfaction, I just wanted to know. I will put my own security fence up if needed. Also, how far are they going to take the block wall down there? Are they going to keep it level with the existing parking lot in the back? They almost have to do that to keep 3 or 4 courses running through my yard, the next yard, and the third yard. That would also help with whatever they're going to fill it with.
Yeah.
Whether it's modified stone, whatever. And I know down the road, if they're going to rebuild or whatever, so be it. I know where my property line ends. Are they going to put another block building up? God, I hope not. Parking garage would be nice, but yeah. Other than that, I think the main concern is security up there.
Absolutely.
There's some issues going on up there. Everybody knows about it. But yeah, if somebody give me a heads up so I can move forward with whatever I got to do.
I'll give you a call tomorrow, Barry.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody else would like to speak, comments? Frank?
Yes, Frank Daldry. Good evening, you all.
The band in the park, I heard so many good comments on that. And it's the things that we need to come to Columbia, to happen in Columbia, because I didn't hear one negative thing. And the next thing is the car show. Uh, always, that show is always so great. I seen more pictures online than when I seen their cars because I couldn't walk the distance. But hats off to all the volunteers. I hate to single these two out because there's so many things the volunteers do in the town, and they're the ones that make the town. But they were both so good. I just, it's a good thing for the town to have these things happen like that. On the other side of that, is anything being done with the scooters, the bikes, and the e-bikes? Holly took over. I thought things were going to be different. I see no changes. Is anything being done? I don't see nothing of it being on the work session, which maybe that's not a work session issue. I don't know. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Is that a work session issue or not? It's not. Well, is anything being done whatsoever?
Yes, matter of fact, there's a meeting. We have a meeting scheduled.
Anything come out of it?
We're meeting internally tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
One of the big problems, Frank, is what is the state allowing and not allowing, and what can we allow? As you saw, there's some legislation in the state now to change some of the regulations they currently have. So the whole thing is, the use has gotten ahead of the laws. But what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at it and start looking at what can we do as Columbia Borough to enact ordinances to prevent some of what we're seeing. And one of the first things that will probably come out of it is those things that are in the vehicle code that we can control, because it's in the state vehicle code, we will start instituting them probably as soon as possible. And then there are other things that aren't in the vehicle code that we will have to craft. If you look at, as I was looking at our ordinances now, our ordinances with bikes and scooters and skateboards and all that, it's a mess.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So we need to win and look at all of that too, so that when we get done, we have it all taken care of. Because, when we crafted for example, the scooter ordinance, they didn't have electric scooters. Now we have electric scooters. So that throws another thing into it. I looked at some of the ordinances. Mount Joy just passed an ordinance pertaining to that. Quarryville, Strasburg has an ordinance that in draft form that they're going to be voting on. We're looking at that, trying to see what some of the other municipalities are doing. We have been, as legislators, we have been talking to our state reps and senators saying, you need to come out with some rules that fit everybody in this state, so that we can all so that Columbia doesn't have one ordinance and you're allowed to do this and not allowed to do that. Marietta has another ordinance, so it's all a mess. And then what you have is you start to stop people and they say, well, I was allowed to in Mountville. Why can't I be here? So it all becomes a mess. If the state would just get a hold of this and create proper laws. But in the interim, we're going to do what we can. The bottom line is we don't want to see anybody, whether it be a child or an adult, get seriously injured or possibly killed for misuse of these. And I can tell you, I can give you a little heads up. One of the things we're going to be looking at real strong and rather quickly is lights. I see too many people on bikes after dark with no lights, and they're required. And I'll take a piece out of Strasburg's ordinance because they have a lot of plain people. Their plain folks, or a lot of them volunteer with the fire company. and they use scooters. But I found out you can put lights front and back on a scooter. So that, people riding scooters, whether they be electric or foot pedal, they can be required to have lights on. So there's some things, it's a whole lot of things that we have to look at to make sure it's right, but it's not a dead issue, Frank, and it's something we're very concerned with.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. How are we handling this now until all this gets done, what you're telling me? I know we have to wait on the state most likely first. Along with that, I'd like to know what's supposed to be licensed and what's not.
Well, none of it can be licensed. Okay?
Maybe
None of
that's
what we're
going to
talking
change
about.
though. Maybe that's going to change.
That possibly could, yes. Right now, if our officers see someone operating a bike or scooter that is in violation of the vehicle code, they will stop them and basically caution them. And if it happens again, they have the right to confiscate either the bike or the scooter. And our officers have been stopping. Now, you'll tell me, I'll even tell you, every day I see someone riding either a bike or a scooter, and they're not doing it according to the vehicle code.
Violation.
But the officer has to see them doing it to stop them.
Okay,
But
so
we're hoping that once we get the rules out and they get out to the people, to the children and the adults, that they'll start recognizing it. And if they don't, once there's a couple of citations written, you know how Columbia is. It'll get around real quick, and maybe we'll get some enforcement.
I think you need some confiscations. You take their scooter or their bike or whatever, that's going to get more results than
I
citations.
don't want to speak. I believe we have. I'm not going to say we did. I believe we have confiscated and made the parents come down to it.
And if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
We have to do that according to state law. There's statutes that allow us to seize and then request forfeiture, but we have to make sure that we are not withholding someone's property unlawfully. Secondarily, it's my opinion, we don't want to discourage alternative methods of transportation, especially, green methods of transportation, but we do want to get our hands around this before somebody does get injured or hurt. So,
Following the rules.
we're definitely going to sit down, and I've done a lot of research, especially in the forfeiture side. So I think I have some information to bring to the table that may be useful. A lot of it's going to be dependent on enforcement, though. And our police department, as short as it is very busy. And so and it's going to be dependent on how often our officers are going to get out and enforce these violations.
So my understanding is we have that in our ordinance
Yes.
that we can confiscate.
It's not a borough ordinance. It's a state statute that allows municipalities to seize after a violation has occurred. There has to be a disposition. That person or persons has to be found guilty of that violation, and then a municipality can request forfeiture. Some of the issues that we're going to run into, it has to be the owner of that vehicle, whatever it may be.
Oh,
It can't be
my.
a juvenile, so we're going to have to, it's going to be a discussion about how we're going to do this in a proper fashion and legally.
Well, when you make that ordinance up, put the fine on the parents. If the parents let them do that, if they buy them or however the kids get these things, I don't want to see anybody get hurt either. But it's so annoying. It's just all over the place.
And
But-
remember, Frank, if it comes down to creating ordinances or modifying ordinances, that will come here, and there will be public knowledge and public discussion.
Well, I kept waiting for something to come up,
Yeah.
especially the work session, and I haven't heard anything. And I don't mean to criticize Holly, but
No,
I didn't see nothing. I thought things were
We
going to
need,
change.
we're gathering the information so that
Okay.
we can
Right.
craft the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
if necessary.
Yeah, we discussed this like a month and a half ago. And at that time, Pennsylvania was kind of like sitting on the pot again, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And so I sent the mayor and some others, what New Jersey had just enacted. Well, at least we have something we can go by that New Jersey has. Well, no sooner start that, the next you know, now Pennsylvania's finally doing something about it.
Okay.
So now you're kind of like that waiting game, you know?
And I think that statute's only a few years old, so
Yeah, it's
everybody's
unreal.
everybody's kind of testing the water to the point to
Yeah, I believe that too.
see if it's going to be effective or not.
And I understand there's a lot of problems with it, but I just it seemed like nothing was said, and I just figured, is anything going on at all? You know, if something don't start, it's not going to happen.
There's been a lot of internal discussion.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Frank. Is there anybody else? Sure.
I was thinking someone else was going to. It's getting close to the 4th of July. Kathy Veza. Every year in my neighborhood, I live on North 8th Street, we have people shooting off fireworks. And I like to celebrate as much as anybody, but we're in the middle of a drought and it's dry. I know when I dig in my garden, you don't have to go down very far and it's dry. And the police are very hard pressed to keep after the kids. But I don't know what we can do except to advertise, maybe not the punitive part, but just the fact we're in the middle of a drought. And I worry about, they shoot them up and it's all the vegetation, the trees and everything, and it's a danger.
I live on North 7th, so I'm hearing the same fireworks that
Right
you're
on the
hearing.
corner, right?
Yeah, I've seen them get ignited in the street.
Yep, that's what they did. And in fairness to the police, they come and they're like rats off a sink. They're kids.
Yeah.
But their parents come and yell at the police, which I don't understand. But it's dangerous. Plus, they're setting them off in the street where people are driving.
Mhm.
So,
Kathy,
Yes.
I'll say this. I know for a fact we do arrest people every year.
I know.
Our police force is limited. The best enforcement would be from citizens.
And we
And
do,
videos.
and all we do,
But calling
Yeah.
is one thing. If you have videos from like ring cameras,
Yeah.
whatever, that's where the police can really be effective.
yeah.
Yeah, when we
And
hear
I
the
don't-
bang,
I know, and it's hard
If you
sometimes
get
to
there-
tell, and it's
you
hard to
get there,
tell
they're
where it's
hiding.
coming from
Yeah.
sometimes.
You get there, they're running and hiding already.
Well, and like I don't have one of those ring cameras, but that wouldn't even cover that. But I mean, I don't know, except to say that there's a drought and maybe that would have, I know my sister lives down in Ocean City, Maryland, and they just had a terrible fire because some idiot set fireworks off from a balcony into the dunes, you know?
We can also talk about getting some more education out there about the particular issue ahead of July 4th on, the website or social media connected to the borough. Just
Maybe
to
if
get
I
the
go
word
out with
out
my
a bit more.
hose.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
well,
Oh,
I can tell you where you live is one of our
Hotbed.
number one spots.
Exactly.
The corner of 8th and Walnut.
And,
Yep.
and Chet and Walnut, right?
uh-huh.
So we know, but we've done some rests there.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like I said, I know the police have tried to, and then I see adults yelling at the police.
It's like chasing your tail.
Yeah, I taught 8th grade, so.
But I know in addition to just the fire hazard is what it does to your pets. I mean, I know Sharon and I have both spoken about
Yeah.
this in the past at different times. My animals, when it's 4th of July, or even 3rd of July, 2nd of July, down in the basement, close all the windows, turn the TV up, because they'll be going freaking bonkers, sitting there shaking, like they're gonna have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, well, and
Yeah.
I've been doing this for years. I know the mayor brought up years ago, state of Pennsylvania legalized the sale of them, but it's illegal to set them off. That's a bit of a quandary there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sell them, but don't set them off here.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Minutes for approval. Consider approval of the Borough Council meeting minutes for June 9th, 2026.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Byers, to approve Borough Council meeting minutes for June 9th, 2026. Any? All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Next, we have a presentation. You have the mic.
Thank you, Eric.
You bet.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for putting Columbia Catholic Housing for the Elderly on the agenda tonight. My name is Paul Nicholas. I'm a resident of the borough and a member of the board of Columbia Catholic Housing for the Elderly. And tonight we wanted to bring senior affordable housing to your attention and talk about it. It's mentioned in the comprehensive plan a lot, and we know you're busy with so many issues, but we wanted to share with you what we're seeing as a board. And Jack is driving the PowerPoint, so we're just going to go through it. It's not a long PowerPoint, but I'll look to be pretty efficient about getting through it. The outline for this presentation, there's a little bit of introduction, local context, just to set the stage and the background. The board has identified a site development opportunity in terms of additional senior affordable housing with an emphasis on senior. There are a list of considerations and a specific request for the council to consider and think about going forward, and maybe this requires a work session, additional discussions and things going forward. And we'd be curious about your thoughts on next steps as you hear this, and maybe you've already given this subject some thought. So in terms of introduction and background, the next slide really it gives some background on when Columbia Catholic Housing for the Elderly started. It was established in 1970 for the sole purpose of developing Trinity House apartments at 400 Mill Street. And there was a board established at that time. At that time, there wasn't a Housing Development Corporation established, so the Housing Development Corporation began at that time for the sole purpose of doing Trinity House apartments. It is now HDC Mid-Atlantic, a huge entity that develops affordable housing. 1970, the building was completed and occupied, and then within 11 years, that same board was able to develop St. Peter Apartments at 400 Union Street. The board traditionally is made up of half of St. Peter Parish in Columbia Catholic Church on Union Street and Holy Trinity Parish. So there are 4 board members from each parish. They all serve voluntarily. There's no compensation for any of the board members in anything that we do. So very quickly, I'll read this. This is from the bylaws. The mission and purpose of Columbia Catholic Housing for the Elderly is to provide for elderly families and persons on a nonprofit basis rental housing and related facilities and services, especially designed to meet the physical, social, and psychological needs of the aged and contribute to their health, security, happiness, and usefulness in longer living. That's right from the 1970s. Mission statements these days are much shorter, but we keep the same mission statement even to this day. In terms of where we are today and the proper category for placing us as you think about housing options in the borough. So we're age and income qualified affordable senior housing, faith-based, not-for-profit. So that gets us into a very specific range of affordable housing. Faith-based, obviously, we're associated with the Catholic Church, although there's not a formal connection to the Diocese of Harrisburg. And we're in that not-for-profit world of things. We're not for-profit. Obviously, we've held on to the properties that were developed in the 1970s and 80s, and they were developed for permanency, and so we continue to hold on to them and maintain them. Just going from left to right, St. Peter Apartments consists of 126 residences as it was originally designed. Currently, there are 181 people on the wait list. 44 of those people on the waiting list are Columbia residents. Trinity House, 133 residences, again, per its original design. There are 191 people on the wait list, and 49 are Columbia residents. So in total, our wait list is 3 to 5 years to get in. There are 372 people on the wait list as of our May board meeting. 93 or an even 25% are Columbia residents that are looking to get into either of those. So this is in senior housing, this is considered the age wave in the United States as the Census Bureau has defined it. And the blue bars are the number of people that turn 80 every year. And you can see this wave that's from 2025 to 2026. Certainly all the ages underneath of that are increasing as well. So related to that, the light blue bars, the vertical bars represent population growth. The dark blue bar and the dashed line that's running horizontally there on the right-hand side shows the amount of senior housing that's being developed versus the need that's in our country. And we're seeing that Pennsylvania, having worked in the senior housing industry for the last 37 years, we have one of the most expansive senior living populations in the country. So statistics that just show this need, and we haven't done anything for 40 years in Columbia since the St. Peter's Apartments, and we don't feel like we're keeping up with the mission. So the local context to this, as the board was talking about it, was to just think about Columbia a little bit further, and we haven't, as we've been dealing with infrastructure improvements at both buildings. We're upgrading elevators, through the wall units, an emergency generator at St. Peter's Apartments. So there's a lot of other investment going on, but we wanted to take a look at what our current setting is. So the comprehensive plan for Columbia, wonderfully done document. It coincides with the Lancaster County Places 2040 document. So we took a look at just briefly a couple of segments of that and where the borough and the team that put together the comprehensive plan, what they were thinking about for the future. The board, knowing that there's this need, we're not another town Catholic housing for the elderly or Columbia Catholic housing for the elderly. So the thought is put Columbia first. If we can make something happen and address this additional need, we want to do that. So that's where we're focused on. So 3 slides from Columbia Borough's comprehensive plan. This one is a place to call home. Affordable housing is mentioned multiple times throughout the document, and I didn't count, but it's more than 15. So a place to call home is tasked with increasing opportunities for home ownership, creating greater housing choices within the borough, identifying solutions to improve the conditions of the borough's housing stock, and ensuring the provision of affordable housing. Now, granted, affordable housing takes place at many levels, from single-family homes, but we're talking about senior living affordable housing. So the second slide is from page 39 in the comprehensive plan, and it says encourage and support the development of a Columbia Borough-based community housing development organization, or CHDO. CHDOs are nonprofit, community, faith-based, or other development interest groups primarily concerned with the provision of affordable housing for all. So that's what Columbia Catholic Housing for the Elderly is, faith-based, not-for-profit development group. And so we're thinking that maybe those who were authoring the comp plan maybe had us in mind, but just put an abbreviation in there for us. And then lastly, the next slide talks about the scale, the amount of development to get affordable housing to work, and this is what's called gap financing pool. So infill development is likely to be small scale in size and fewer than 25 units to a project. These smaller infill developments lack financial efficiency because the fixed costs are spread over fewer units, and the cost per unit is higher without any corresponding increase in market value. Historically, these small development projects have difficulty securing public funds in any form. So projects need scale to be financed, and often significant projects like this involve a capital stack, and there are like 10 to 12 different financial entities that are involved in significant projects. So so that was the background. There's the specific site development opportunity. We want to run past you, lots of graphics to show you, but again, for your thoughts and getting your consideration. The zoning map, we took a look at where high density residential development can be in the borough, and especially with the current zoning map, high density multifamily residential is specifically mentioned. And there are 5 zones within the borough. They're the brown zones, and just zooming in, Trinity House is one of those zones. It's located, again, at 400 Mill Street at the end of 4th and 5th Streets down near the Shawnee Run. The green is the conservation district that goes along with the Shawnee Run, and there's, of course, the railroad is there. So we also wanted to look at, since the comprehensive plan was looking to 2040, where the borough was thinking development was happening. And so in the same area, same zoning map, but this is the future land use map. If you zoom in on the next slide, it's following that blue bubble. And we wanted to make sure that the borough wasn't thinking that the density within the area of Trinity House was being downsized. So in the future, high density residential is continuous around us there at Trinity House. The purple is industrial. So we're pretty much surrounded by those two use groups. So then going forward, all the slides that you're going to see next have this orientation with it. And it made sense for us just to take a closer look inward at the Trinity House. This is a site aerial photo, and you can see where the building is. Trinity House is 9 stories tall, so that's why that deep shadow is happening there. And you can see the Shawnee Run and the railroad there. We initially brought this to the borough 2 years ago and wanted to get the borough's thoughts on this idea. And originally, when we brought the idea to the borough, we were thinking smaller than what we're about to show you. And the borough manager at that time said, you need to think bigger. You need to expand your thinking. Columbia has fixed parameters. We don't have a lot of developable land, so you need to go up in your consideration. That really resonated with the board, coming back after that meeting here and telling the board that result. The board really thinks this is a one-shot opportunity to do something here, and we'd like to review that with you. The last part of this is that discussions about this have only happened with the borough and internally with Columbia Catholic Housing, the board. We haven't shared this with any consultants. There's a specific action that's needed by the Borough Council. Otherwise, if we would bring this up to somebody, they would say, well, it's an interesting idea. Come back when the Borough Council endorses it. We thought maybe the borough officials would want the Planning Commission to see it first to give an opinion, but there's a transaction that's too important before that. So we haven't even talked to HDC Mid-Atlantic about this, and they're our main management partner. So going forward, there's a site analysis slide that starts to give some definition and metrics to this. Trinity House is defined by the main parcel that is on the upper part of the sheet. It's 2.8 acres. The parcel at the bottom side of the sheet on the other side of the Shawnee Run is 1.2 acres. So that's 4 acres altogether. We were last before the borough for the little rectangle piece up there that's 0.34 acres, and that went through a subdivision and development plan to have parking approved for that. So we're in Columbia Borough, we're at 4.34 acres, and we're thinking, can we do better with that amount of land in the downtown? But if you think of this as various puzzle pieces, the next slide is Columbia has this, or the Trinity House has this really unique positioning within the borough, being the only building fronting on this small street. It's a segment between 4th and 5th. So Mill Street is, in our opinion, is a missing puzzle piece to this. It's only a 45-foot wide right-of-way, a 27-foot wide cartway, and so when people parallel park, it's tough for two-way traffic. But if the borough would consider that as part of this master planning exercise, what opportunity does that present? So we took a look at that, and on the next slide, if we had the Mill Street right-of-way, we could think about subdividing and treating that property, that land, in a different way. And Trinity House, which is its own corporation now, could be defined separately. And then land to the right could be a new affordable housing senior living project. And we would define that. We'd have to develop a third corporation because all these projects are individually owned by separate corporations, the same board members, but legally and financially, they have to have their own property lines, and parking and all the support facilities have to work under the property boundaries that are there. So what would it look like? The next slide, we took a shot at master planning, but knowing that eventually, I think pretty much any project in Columbia Borough has to go to the zoning hearing board because of just the fixed parameters and things we have to work through. One of the benefits of having 2 existing senior living buildings is there's lots of data we can get from that. So when you think about developing a site plan, how big is the building footprint on the site? How tall is it? How many units? And then how many parking spaces are on the site? So there's this kind of 3-dimensional juggling act that's happening. So we asked our staff at St. Peter Apartments and Trinity House to say, okay, we know at St. Peter Apartments there are 126 residences, and in the world of affordable senior living housing, how many people actually own cars because they're expensive to maintain, run, operate. So at St. Peter Apartments currently there are 54 cars, or 43% of the residents have cars. At Trinity House, 133 residences, there's a lower percentage that have cars at 40%. So would the zoning hearing board think that that's a rational way of approaching data and parking? If they would, we would use the higher percentage at 43% of the number of units to define the parking that's needed for a new project. So the next slide is what, so again, the existing site, and then if you click again, Jack, here's the way that we think this could work. With a new affordable senior housing project on the right-hand side of the kind of purplish footprint, and Trinity House is on the left. When you think about it, and high-density residential, if you think about senior living, affordable housing, limited cars, most people aren't working, right? So they're not out on the streets driving at the intense hours of rush hour in the morning and the evening, and fewer cars, etc. So we think that's a good match for things. The next slide is zoom in on the left-hand side, and what it allows us to do for Trinity House Apartments is get all the parking restructured at the front of the building, near the front door. The residents have been asking for more accessible parking spaces, and so we would be able to accommodate the parking for the residents plus staff in that kind of left-hand zone. Malt Avenue is the alley that runs vertical on the street, and in working with the Planning Commission, we're sure that we could have an access agreement to keep Malt Avenue open for any residents that have access to Malt Avenue and front on Malt Avenue. And then also, this kind of concept allows us, there's a great tree mass that is down at the bottom of 4th Street before you head up to Manor Street along the stream. So it allows us to hold on to some of those natural features. And then the next slide really is the main thrust of this, the new project. We would see the ability to enhance 5th Street extended by continuing the sidewalk and wrapping it down 5th Street down to the bridge, probably street trees, curb, sidewalk, all those improvements. The building would front on 5th Street extended. But really the real magic to this, and it's really unique to Columbia Borough, is this setting along the Shawnee Run and the access to nature, indoor-outdoor connections for residents, and the social interaction that could happen between the new residents as well as existing Trinity House residents. When we worked with the borough a number of years ago and we did the stream restoration project, there were concrete abutments put in for a bridge, but the bridge was never put in. So we would look to work in a pedestrian bridge crossing the stream where those concrete abutments are. And also, if we did an open pavilion, no walls or anything, but would that be a great destination for residents to go over and have a picnic across the stream? This project would also, if you can imagine Trinity House developed in the 1970s, the stormwater regulations weren't what they are now. So this would allow us to upgrade the parking lot to current stormwater regulations. And there's probably a lot of water that's heading into the Shawnee Run when we've got a lot of water there. So building design, the codes and accessibility requirements have come a long way too since the 80s. So we're getting down toward the end. Jack, if you go back one more time, just for orientation purposes. So the new building footprint, if you picture the bottom right end of the building and the ability to have spaces that look out onto the lawn, the stream is really set down in deeply there. It's not a surface stream, so there's a pretty significant difference, but you would still be able to look out into that zone. And so the conceptual floor plan really, again, we haven't hired any consultants for this, but if we go to the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board, they'll want to see some detail to it. So, entrance lobby in the core of the plan with elevators that go upstairs, a community room, a community kitchen, outdoor terrace for just residents to move indoor and outdoor for lots of events and things there. So great, glass looking out. The light blue to the left-hand side, St. Peter Apartments really would be the model for this. Just think of it brought forward another 40 years in terms of being more contemporary. But there wouldn't be a basement. We wouldn't excavate. We would keep footings pretty close to the surface down there. The next slide would show the typical floor plan up above. And we'll show you the typical unit plan up above. But we're thinking 14 units per floor. Elevators come up in the middle, the ability to look out at that yellow zone, looking out to the west. And one of the things that works really well at St. Peter Apartments is that at the ends of the corridor, Trinity House doesn't have this. It has stair towers that are inboard, and you get no natural light into the corridors. At St. Peter Apartments, residents will come out and bring chairs out to the end of the hallway, and they'll look to the north out over the borough, and it's just really expansive, beautiful views. On the right-hand side, if this new project would become reality, the views down to the south, the river valley, just pretty amazing. So the next slide, we would think a typical unit could look something like this, where the kitchen, living, dining are more of an open great room kind of space with, as soon as you enter into the unit, you get a look through windows and looking to the outside and natural light. A separate private bedroom and an accessible bath. And one of the things that we wouldn't do that Trinity House and St. Peter Apartments have is that the asterisk before, when we say age and income qualified, if you have a disability, you can be younger than 62 and get into St. Peter Apartments or Trinity House. But normally 62 is our limit. We would look to have the units have the space in them for accessibility. So if you age in place a little bit, all of a sudden you need a wheelchair, you have the space to maneuver around. In the other buildings, there are specific units that have that space allowance. So again, very conceptual, but that's the thinking behind it. So that's the end of the graphic material, but considerations for your thoughts as you would think about this leaving tonight and the takeaways and how we might get together and discuss this further. The next slide lists some of the things that we're thinking about, and there could be many more, but obviously this kind of initiative would help us advance our mission in Columbia, and we wouldn't need to look somewhere else to think that we're having to meet our mission by expanding somewhere else. We would think it would contribute to Columbia achieving its master planning and goals in its comprehensive plan. It's consistent with both borough and county planning. And it also, in this kind of strategy, we're not using up taxable land. It could be used for something else. And because we are a nonprofit and Trinity House is not taxed, there's another point to be made on that. But we're kind of preserving land in the borough for other uses. Obviously, if Mill Street would get taken offline, the borough doesn't have street sweeping costs or snow removal or maintenance costs of that. So there's maybe a value there. We will, just because of the consultant needs on this project, we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultants. And obviously the building itself is a multi-million-dollar project, so we have to figure that out. The neighborhood and streetscape enhancement is a big thing too for 5th Street extended. Then lastly on this list, similar to Trinity House and St. Peter Apartments, even though we don't pay the normal taxes, for each of those buildings we pay the borough $10,000 per year. So this new project we would do the same thing. That would be another project that's giving $10,000 a year to the borough. So that's a consideration, just to have it on equal footing with the other projects. So as you would leave tonight and think about this, number one bullet point up there, is there merit in thinking about this? And what would you think about how we could help Columbia meet affordable housing further? Certainly, we could discuss this further, but specifically, and something that the solicitor could help with, we're going to need to talk to financial entities, our management entity, consultants, and the Planning Commission. And I don't want Mary Wickenheiser saying, look, it all sounds great, but the Borough Council is not going to allow you to do this kind of thing. So I think the last part, is it a letter of intent, memorandum of understanding, contract, that if we successfully get through due diligence, substantially complete, and would the borough convey the property? Vacate Mill Street.
I think there's a number of ways. I think it would probably be an MOU, I would think. Just to, again, like you said, if you get through all these other zoning, all the other land use approvals, that the borough would do that for you. So yeah, I think that's certainly, if council wanted to do that, that's certainly something we can do.
Sure.
And then go through the
Vacation process, yep.
At a later time, but that would give us the understanding.
Great. So obviously, a lot of you are hearing this for the first time tonight. It's a lot to take in, but we look forward to just talking a bit with you further about it.
It looks really good.
These projects take a long time. The best projects marry a master plan with an operational plan and the business plan, which is the financial. So you get all those to come together, and those are the best projects that happen. But we think the board has multiple talented people on it, and so we think we have the ability to do it.
Do you have to be Catholic to go there?
No, not at all. The requirement in terms of the age and income qualified is that based on the 2020 to 2024 census, the average median income in Lancaster County is $86,000. So to be eligible, your income per year needs to fall within the 30 to 50% range of that. And there are people who have less than that applying come in. So, and there are a lot of people that fall into that category, going forward.
Well, one thing I'd like to know, 45, 47%.
25% of the current.
And how many people you have looking? How many of those people in the waiting list are from Columbia?
Yeah, so there were
On the
70.
waiting list.
Yeah,
He had
that's what he said, 25%.
There were over 73, I think the number was.
44,
I was,
59 or something.
93,
but
25% of
current
370.
residents is only about 40-some percent.
I didn't ask
Former
this.
Columbia residents.
I didn't ask the staff what percentage of current residents are Columbia residents. That would be an interesting
Although,
statistic.
right now, they're all Columbia residents.
Well, they are.
No, but
They are. Originally.
From Columbia.
What I'm
Yeah.
getting at is, I would like to see Columbia residents get priority or some preferential to get into these places.
I'm
But that has another place to live, and they can't maintain their home. The other side of that is frees up that home for young folks. So there's a circle there. And wow, if you can provide housing for those people, you can provide that opportunity for us, young people.
Yeah, we pledged to look into that. Also, going forward, since we have this chance to talk, the land transaction is one thing, but we will need to compete nationally and locally for tax credits and this financing, and to have the council's support in reaching out to elected officials or other applications that we have to file. We hope that you could help us out with that. So it'll be a great journey. It would also, wouldn't it be a great story of Columbia Borough teaming up with a nonprofit in this kind of use and meeting local and county goals and this kind of thing? The planning world, I think, would eat it up as a
Well, and I think
initiative.
it's an awesome opportunity to keep Mary Loretto's legacy going.
You know, Heather, right before I came down here, I just read a letter from Mary in March of 2017, and she passed away in July of 2017. She wrote a letter to Dr. Ben Carson, who had just been named the chair of the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. She wanted him to come to Columbia and meet our local representatives, meet our board, and she wanted to do a third. Her son and daughter say she wanted to do a third building. So there's a little bit of legacy, attached to this too.
I immediately thought of that.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, as I sit here, I had a grandmother and a grandfather that lived in Trinity House. And I currently have a grandmother that lives in St. Peter's Apartments. She lives on the top floor, right at that L, and she sits up there with her binoculars.
I can imagine the views.
But
warming up for all of us.
it makes me happy to see that we are thinking ahead. And, I think I remember briefly hearing about your meeting 2 years ago with the previous borough manager. And the first question I had when he had mentioned, what do you think about vacating Mill Street? The very first question that I had come to mind, and I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to throw out ideas. And something else that I think we need to look at in this whole process, and that is how often does the fire department need to use that section of Mill Street to access 4th or 5th? And we need to, that will be one of the things we really have to look at when we're considering vacating. And I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know if they ever have to go up Malt Avenue, but the ability to keep Malt Avenue open for traffic is also a positive in the event that it is needed for emergency access.
One of the things that the plan does is it widens, it makes two-way traffic through that parking zone so wider, so the fire department would have wider access to go through. So I think there'd have to be an access agreement for emergency vehicles to crisscross and go through.
I mean, especially when we're talking about, I mean, now granted, I know that it's not, the time frame is not going to work. It's not going to match up. But when we're thinking about a potential project on Manor Street that's going to have that road, blocked off in some points, if the fire department needs to come down through to get to the other side of town, in my mind, how would that, is that enough space and all of those things?
Sure.
So I would want to make sure that we involve them in conversations.
Makes sense. And there would be the building codes for buildings of this height. And so just to be clear, so we're thinking 1 story higher than St. Peter's Apartment. So that first floor has all the living space, all the common space, almost like if you live in a 2-story house, all your living spaces are down below, your bedrooms are up above, and then 10 stories of apartment units up above. So there are smoke evacuation systems, lots of things that we want the fire department to be aware of. The last thing I wanted to say, because you have a big agenda tonight, later in September, Warfel Construction has been retained for Trinity House to replace the elevators, work on the elevator penthouse, replace the ventilation unit. There's going to be a crane that comes in to access the roof. And so that has nothing to do with this project. In case you get lots of calls that are starting construction on the project, it's a maintenance thing for Trinity House. So we'll stand by and maybe just hear back from Jack as to how you might think about going forward.
Mill Street right now, when we have snow, every time we have to use the snow, I get a phone call.
Oh, I know.
Most of the people that work in Trinity House, caregivers and all them, you know, therapists and everything, they all park on Mill Street. And once they park on Mill Street, and if it's snow, we plow, we have to get that snow off there to the curb, because when they park, then there's no room for vehicles to get down through there. It's almost like a one-way street. So the street itself is constricted, and it's being used real heavy right now by Trinity House personnel or associate personnel. So it kind of makes sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because basically they're using it more than anybody else.
Exactly.
Jack, can we get a copy of that presentation emailed to us? If that's
Yeah,
okay.
why don't you hold on to that, Jack, and feel free to distribute it. It's not been made public, so if you could
Okay.
keep it to yourself. that'd
For
be
sure.
great. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
And it's important to remember that these are, while it's not been made available to the public, that's because it's not, it's still conceptual, it's not set in stone, you know.
Mayor Lutz.
Yeah, and with the time that we're using here tonight, we'll be very short. Piggybacking on what Frank said, this past weekend, with the concert in the park and the car show, and then next weekend with the 4th of July celebration, fantastic time in Columbia. I was kind of sorry that, and I understand why they canceled the concert last night, the Monday night concert. That's going to be, I think, July 6th, to make up for that. But I was interested to see how many people turned out for that. But it is great to see all these things happening in Columbia. What's really great to see is how many people, volunteers, are coming out to help with pull these events off. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So, well, can't wait to see what happens the rest of the year. That's all I have.
Thank you. Action items. Authorization for bill payments.
I'll make that motion to authorize the bill payments presented in tonight's packet.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Ziegler, to authorize bill payments. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve special event application for Raven Ridge Wildlife Center, September 5th, 2026.
So moved.
Any questions or concerns?
I just have a question.
Sure.
I noticed on all of these facilities use requests, none of them have marked that they paid. And I don't see any note that we're approving a waiving of those fees, so. Okay, I just want to make sure, can we make sure that when they're coming that we know they're paid, because we had said before we didn't want to see them if they're not.
I'll speak to PM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? Motion to approve special event application for Raven Ridge Wildlife Center on December 5th, 2026. Motion by Councilman Byers, second by Councilman Cooper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve special event application for Mac and Cheese Festival on September 19th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve special event application for Mac and Cheese Festival on September 19th, 2026 by Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Byers. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion to approve special event application for Princess and Pirate Tea Party and Parade on October 10th, 2026.
So moved.
And cancel.
That's so simple.
Thank you.
Plenty of princesses, not enough.
Yeah, not a pirates.
All right, well, since we already have a motion to approve, then we don't want to get a second and it'll die.
Yes, correct. Yep. Motion to approve special event application for Santa Parade on November 28th, 2026.
So moved. Second.
A motion to approve special event application for the Santa Parade on November 28th, 2026. From Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Murphy. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion to approve special event application for free parking Saturdays from November 28th, 2026 through January 2nd, 2027.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion to approve special event application for free parking Saturdays from November 28th, 2026 through January 2nd, 2027. By Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Ziegler. Questions or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
We come every year, this thing is standing.
We had said well, yeah, it can. We had said last year we were gonna do that. That it was, we were gonna,
Does the dates change?
yeah, but we could do it effective the Saturday after Thanksgiving through the first Saturday in January.
So we do it.
I thought we were gonna do that.
We do it.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should though.
I was gonna say, have it in writing somewhere
Yeah.
so somebody can look at it. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should.
Does it have to be in any kind of like a resolution like that, or just?
I would
I
do a resolution again, just so you
Just
can
make
go
it
back
clear.
and look at it and see somebody may, somebody
Because
has
that,
questions.
the formal resolution is what defines it as an official action of council for going forward.
Mhm.
So you said the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
So the first Saturday in January.
Okay. So, back to the original motion for this year anyway. To approve special event application for free parking Saturdays from November 28th, 2026 through January 2nd, 2027. A motion by Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Ziegler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I just want to approve that way.
Oh, yeah, no.
So paying it down.
Yeah. Yep, that's what we said last year, and then we were gonna, beginning of this year, we were gonna do it, and it got lost.
Motion to approve special event application for Old Fashioned Christmas, December 5th, 2026 through December 26th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Ziegler to approve special event application for Old Fashioned Christmas, December 5th, 2026 through December 26th, 2026. And would you like to comment on that? At the mic, please.
That was the whole reason why,
Why she passed out the
I
paper. so
passed
she
out,
didn't have to
yeah,
get
a flyer. No, not that, because it's a little bit complicated. We took the Old Fashioned Christmas, which is our very most successful event for the Merchants Association, and decided to expand it to every Saturday after Christmas. Before Christmas, I'm sorry. So it's encompassing all of December.
You want to talk about the gingerbread man adventure?
So the Gingerbread Man Adventure is a event that we would like to draw the community into. The first week, we will have a blow-up gingerbread man, and the board members will move it from storefront to storefront for a week, with that storefront owner taking a selfie and putting it on our Facebook page. And then we're going to open it up to the community to come and steal the gingerbread man and put it in their yard to take a selfie and post it. And yes, that's going to be the community involvement piece of that. And yes, we bought 3 gingerbread men.
When it gets a hole in it.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be great.
Thank you.
And we did do an all call for volunteers, and if anybody else would like to volunteer. And if you wanted to sponsor a day, it doesn't need to be monetary. You could say, I want to take December 5th and I want to run with it. Have at it. I tell everyone, Christmas is for everyone, but it's also for the board, and we need volunteers.
Can I just say, I love that December 26th is called the first day of Christmas, because that's when my mom starts counting down.
Yeah. First day of Christmas always starts December 26th, everywhere but in the U.S. And then the 12th day of Christmas is January 6th.
You do every year.
All right. We have a motion by Councilperson Cooper, second by Councilperson Ziegler, to approve the special event application for Old Fashioned Christmas, December 5th, 2026 through December 26th, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
I just want you to know there's no hidden cookies back there. It's a little chilly up here. I gotta be honest with you.
All right, and next we have a motion to approve the special event application for yard sales at the Market House.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Good.
Motion by to approve the special event application for yard sales at the Market House by Councilperson Cooper, second by Councilperson Byers.
Could you expand on yard sales?
Yep,
How many, when?
we're getting there.
My understanding is it's going to be City Lane, and it's the Market House on Market Day, expanding City Lane to people, giving opportunity for yard sales.
When?
July
July 4th.
Oh, just July 4th?
Yes.
Yeah, because I see, it said yard sales, plural. So I don't want to see everything.
I think she meant multiple stands.
Or she'll stand.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say something like that, not yard sales meeting every week for the next
Yeah,
2 weeks. Okay.
and she's asking to rent yard sale stands on Sadie Lane as part of the larger town-wide yard sale, which is scheduled for Saturday, July 4th. I wasn't aware there was a town-wide yard sale scheduled for July.
I know Chester
They have
Street,
one every year.
Yes, I have.
Chester Street started it, and now it's just expanding.
Okay.
So I have a motion on the floor Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Byers to approve special event application for yard sales at the Market House on July 4th.
Question,
Yes.
seeing as that tends to be a busy police day, is there an issue closing Sadie Lane?
This question was posed to the chief, and she seemed fine with it.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we're not going to have an issue. And then I would also suggest that since our police cars are not going to be able to be in Sadie Lane, that we, park them in the official business only and make sure that we're ticketing people if they're in there, because we're going to need those for our police.
Thank you.
Even though it is more.
Mark them like police only.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the 6 applications, how many had their fees exonerated?
Nobody.
None of them?
No.
Okay,
They're all-
thank you.
So a motion on the floor by Councilman Cooper, second by Councilman Byers to approve the special event application for yard sales at the Market House on Sadie Lane, July 4th. All in favor, say aye.
We want to put barricades on Market Street and 3rd Street. Never knows. Yeah.
Well, we have to put them at Market and Sadie. Can't put it here or they can't get in the parking lot.
No, right up here.
Yeah, Market and Sadie.
I'm sorry. Sadie.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I was like, I just started panicking that we were gonna block all the parking lot.
Okay, motion to approve resolution 2026-16 rules of decorum. After our meeting at the firehouse, or workshop at the firehouse, or not the workshop, the regular meeting at the firehouse, that got a little out of control, or as Frank would say, well, I'm not gonna say it, but I came up with the new rules of decorum, or new policy. So I'm requesting the council considers it, votes on it, and then we can enact it. The main gist of the changes are from the current resolution are
I think that that meeting was an anomaly, and I don't think that we will have many meetings like that again.
I do. I want to have it. So I was trying to be very generous before,
Yeah,
allowing 10 minutes conversations, not only for public comment, but for also discussion during
yeah,
things. And for me to change that at that meeting,
I hate that.
right?
Yeah.
So the reality of it is, you have to have something in place that we follow, or we allow that possibility to happen again.
I want to ask, I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss some changes, but the changes were only in section 3, public participation, correct? I don't think I saw changes in other places.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
So eligibility would be taxpayers and residents of Columbia Borough. Non-residents and non-taxpayers may observe but will not be recognized to speak. Sign up required. Anyone wishing to address council must sign up prior to the start of the meeting using the official sign-up sheet provided at the meeting location. The sign-up sheet requires your full name and street address. One public comment period. A single public comment period will be held at the beginning of the meeting after approval of minutes. This period is open for comments on both agenda items and non-agenda items. Time limit. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Time may not be yielded, shared, or transferred to another person. Council President or presiding officer will enforce the time limit. Overall period management. If a large number of individuals sign up, the presiding officer may set a reasonable overall time limit for public comment period and need to limit the number of speakers to, or defer the meeting speakers to the next meeting. No additional comments. There will be no further public comment opportunities after the designated public comment section concludes. Comments on immediate matters arising later in the meeting will be heard at a future meeting. That's the major changes.
I just,
That's fair.
it does, we do need to change 4D to take off that members of the public wishing to comment on agenda items
Right.
should approach the microphone, state their name for the record, and then give their comments.
I did take that off.
Yeah, that will have to be taken off to keep it consistent.
Right.
If I may,
All right.
Mr. President. Couple of thoughts. The first thing I disagree with, and this may seem like a formality, but I disagree with requiring the street address. However, I do realize that when you said comments are listed to residents and taxpayers of the borough only, the only way to enforce that is with the street address. And who will be tasked with cross-referencing a street address with those actual residents?
Can I provide a potential solution to
Yes.
that? So on a lot of government documents that you see, there's essentially a sworn affidavit, the 4904,
Right.
swearing, is what we call it. And you could put that at the top of it that basically says, yes, like if you sign up to speak, you are saying that you are a resident or a taxpayer of Columbia Borough. And if that's found to be, found to not be the case, there could be consequences under that section 4904.
Yeah, the reason I had suggested before about removing the street address is because I know there are a lot of people that are paranoid and they don't want to provide their personal information. And I never wanted to see the requirement to give an address as a barrier to someone publicly participating in a meeting.
I just don't know how we can confirm with the under a resident or taxpayer.
Right, well, and even.
Real time, it's all
Real time.
Right. Right, I mean, because I know there were people that spoke at the firehouse that said they live on such and such a street, and I know for a fact they don't. So, I mean, that's just, I disagree with, yeah, I disagree with, the street and requiring the street address. I would ask that if there is only going to be one comment period for agenda and non-agenda items, that we then make our agenda be a lot more specific as to what is happening in these motions, because the whole point of the Sunshine Act is to afford the public the opportunity to address council before a decision is made. And it's nearly impossible to form a coherent, applicable discussion item if you don't know what's happening in the motion. And then we're gonna end up in a situation where we have people standing at the microphone saying, well, you have an item to, let's pick something out. You have an item to approve a special event application for Raven Ridge Wildlife Center. Well, if they want to comment on that, they need to know where they want to hold their thing. They need to know those information. They need to know that information.
That information is in the packet. It's already printed out. This agenda already goes into too much detail. Now, all this information here is in the packet. You just have to look for it.
And any legislative action you
Any
make
legislative action.
is cleared in the work session prior to.
No, it's not.
It's not
Because
always.
the majority of the stuff we voted on here tonight was never talked about in the work session.
Legislative.
Yeah.
Well, Ordinance 966 has never been discussed at the workshop.
Right.
Gonna vote on that tonight.
So, I mean, that's my personal feeling
I
is
totally get it.
that if we are going to ask people to make their comments at the beginning and have them feel that they are providing meaningful comments and that we care that they're providing meaningful comments, it's nearly impossible to do that if they're not hearing the conversation.
You never know what will come along. I will tell you, I represent 6 municipalities. I think the way that you guys have done it, basically since I started here, where you allow, after Borough Council has discussed whatever the action item is, allow people a couple of minutes to, make their opinions known on that at that time. Honestly, I think it works better than almost anything else that I've seen. It is completely up to you, but I will just tell you that from my experience that seems to work really well as long as it doesn't turn into a 20-minute back and forth, right? Like, you limit those comments to a certain time, but I think that works really well to get full feedback before you end up voting on that.
I would agree with that too, and I would also say, but I would say the caveat to that would be when you're speaking initially to non-agenda, they have their 5 minutes. If you're going to speak to something directly on agenda, you should be able to keep your comment to within 2 to 3 minutes.
Right.
You should not need another 5 minutes to just ramble on about that specific subject. You should know what you're going to say by the time you get to the microphone. Say it. And, if we get a response, great. If you don't, that's not required of council.
And I mean, I personally feel that numerous times over the years, we have received very valid concerns during that comment period that has caused us to actually pivot from, something that was proposed to take into account other things. Which I think is the hallmark of public participation in meetings.
I figure we're going to do that. I would suggest to you that public comment be in the beginning of your agenda, be to non-agenda items.
Non-agenda, yeah.
Right.
Because what happened out at the fire company is you allowed all the public comment.
And you had a second one.
Then when the motion came up, it was all regurgitated once again.
Yes.
The second comment. Same thing.
Yes.
It's tedious.
I've made my opinions clear when you first sent out this draft that I think that I don't necessarily have issues with our rules. I just think we need to be better about enforcing them. But a couple things I did also want to bring up is there are 3 sections from the original version that are removed and not included in the new version. One is what was originally 3B for groups desiring to comment, having spokespersons, is removed. Request to appear on the agenda has been removed, and also recording of meetings has been removed. And
You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. I remember.
I don't think there's not much here that I agree with, especially the 3 items being removed.
Anything else?
Yeah, just one thing. You said about section 4D, just dropping the statement, members of the public wishing to comment on agenda items should approach the microphone state their name for the record, and then give their comment. I don't think you should just do away with that. I think you should really move that up to the first public comment period and put it in there and saying, because a lot of people do just blurt out, or they come up to the microphone, my name is Joe. That's great. What's your last name?
Heather was making that comment as
Well, right.
if we were going to go with this.
Yeah, but I would definitely keep it, just move it somewhere else.
Well, it goes against signing up to speak, because the top requires you to sign up on the sheet if you want to address council, and then saying, just come to the microphone contradicts that.
Just sign up to address council at the beginning, and then later on, if they have remarks to make after we've had our discussion, then they can come up to the microphone.
But for this, they will not have the opportunity.
That's what I said, I disagree with that.
And I just had one other.
Hold on a second, I'm sorry.
I just had one other request, just to consider, whenever there's a voice vote, at least when I was, council president, everybody would, if there was a voice vote in anything, I really feel that the council president should vote last. And not, because you don't want to set, people might be wondering how you're going to vote, and you don't want to set the tone. And really, if it's a tiebreaker, it is what it is.
Oh, you mean a roll call vote?
Yes, roll call vote.
Yeah, roll call.
Only roll
I
call.
agree with that, yes.
They should be the council president should be called last during the roll call vote.
Yes, they should.
Sharon Lintner. So, I'm sorry, my address, you know her.
Don't figure out how to take notes.
Okay, so as it's written here now, I don't understand if you're going to go with this or not yet, but you've added agenda. Okay, so good, because you've added agenda items in that. So as it's written, we would not be able to comment during the actual discussion.
Correct.
Yes.
And then I was agreeing with Evan because the discussions generally do go all over the place. So you never know what's going to come up or what's going to be said. So I hope you don't do that. Then the other thing I didn't see here, and I don't know if it belongs in this or not, but the presentations, they used to be limited to 15 minutes, which I don't think they ever were.
Yeah, that section was removed.
Tonight's was about 30 minutes or longer. And not that it wasn't important. I appreciated hearing what he had to say. But I just, if you had a rule, I didn't know if you were planning on following it. So, and so you're saying you're not going to do that?
Not according to this direction of this council.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Shaw. Sorry, Eric. I know you worked hard, and I appreciate that you took the initiative to write something. I do want you to think about unintended consequences of not letting Columbia residents speak.
That wouldn't allow Columbia residents to speak. Absolutely not.
If Wrightsville made some crazy decision that they were going to vote on and it affected us, I would want a chance to go over and tell them, like, you might not realize it, but that affects us. And in this case, this was a decision that could have affected the Susquehanna. So there are unintended consequences of that.
I do. I understand what you're saying. Problem I have is when a group outside of Columbia, outside of its surrounding neighborhoods come in, cause problems.
And those nuances can be addressed in a policy. I don't think this is the policy to go with, but two things can be true.
That situation could have been covered by the announcement that if you are here as part of a group, you recommend one spokesperson.
Yeah, we'll give you 5 minutes to kind of collect your collective thoughts.
But I will tell you, Colette, just having conversations with other municipalities, we are a minority in that we do allow non-residents and non-taxpayers to speak.
And I like that Columbia realizes community means something beyond some borders
We are also in
sometimes.
the minority to allow public comment during the discussion prior to action.
That's why we like you all. Yep, thank you.
Jesse Swigert, Columbia, PA Online, 436 Locust Street. again, with everybody else, I would carefully advise you, maybe watch some YouTube, look at some town meetings. You might be opening up yourselves to some litigation, or you might not. It all depends on who you're rubbing the wrong way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you up.
Yeah, please take care of that. That could open us up to litigation.
When you say the public gets 5 minutes, that's not true. There's many a time I come up here, council will take 4 of my 5 minutes to answer me. How is that fair?
First of all, we go off a 10-minute.
Say it again.
We go off a 10-minute rule, and normally when, like today, you had discussion with the mayor about the e-bikes, I totally ignored that 10-minute rule, because he took up most of your time. I understand that.
Yes, so what do you do to correct that?
I keep,
You want us to not answer any questions? You give us.
I keep
You're just gonna
time.
stand there and stare at us.
I keep time for everybody speaking.
Yes, but
If you're-
do you keep track of your time?
No, we don't have to.
Well, but that takes my time.
But then you don't ask questions and we won't answer.
Lucy, break it.
How are we going to participate?
It's a comment period, not a question and answer session.
I'm commenting, they're done talking,
Yeah.
and then I answer it.
Right, but that can,
Their time is done.
but that can lead to discussion. I understand. what
I
Frank's
know, but
saying.
then, and what happens is then there's a comeback. That's what shouldn't happen.
Right.
But
You had said something, it's in the packet, and Heather said it's not, and she is 110% correct.
what's not?
There's a lot of things that's not in here that's not brought up. So let me give you an example. You're in the process of hiring a finance manager tonight. Am I understanding we're not going to get the 3 minutes no more?
No.
No, that was something we were looking at.
It's proposed that you would not. It's just a proposal at this point.
I think it's one of the best things you ever did. Because how do I know? I have questions on how you're hiring your process. How do I know? I want to come back to the next meeting. Well, that's already done. The person's hired or they're not hired. And how is that fair to the public to come here after the fact when we could find out while we're here? That 3 minutes was absolutely the best thing you ever put in there, Heather.
The 10 minutes.
The yeah.
Tell me some more about this 10-minute rule. Isn't that what you proposed when you come on, when you took over the president?
Yes, that's what we're running under.
But there's some people, like the other day, I think I was stopped on the 5-minute rule.
No. Nope. Absolutely not.
And you did give me 10 minutes, okay,
I record. Everybody starts and stops.
I'll
I
take,
don't know that Eric has cut anyone off yet.
Thank you. I'm big fan.
No. Yeah, no.
Should we get the timer out again?
Cut anyone off.
oh, cut me off.
We can pull the timer
Eric
out.
has not cut anyone off.
Frank, 5 minutes is up.
That's it.
But he cut me off. How can you say he didn't cut anybody off? But anyway, there was things I started to read in there. I thought, well, this is going to be for a work session. They ain't going to go through with this. But it didn't make it to a work session. And it was the same thing when Paul was up there. We had that rule in there that 12 or 15 minutes, you stop it right there, then it gets to come back to a work session. And I wonder, things just change. You're wishy-washy.
Okay.
That's what I don't like about it. So we are going to have, we don't know if we're going to have this 3-minute rule. I can't even read my own writing. Sorry about that. All right. We'll see where it goes.
I think you need to look at, you have presentations. There should be, you should set that limit when you have that conversation with that party that they're how long should the presentation last? It might be 25 minutes now. Can you cut it down to 15?
Right.
Have that agreement work. You can't set a rule for presentations that will cover every presentation we're going to have.
Right, you have to understand, many presentations, just like tonight, although we knew it was coming, we didn't have any details. That's first we saw that presentation, we all saw it. So, so if you're gonna limit to a 10-minute presentation, then council is gonna have to save the questions, so yeah. It's just
The current version does say groups or individuals appearing should plan to keep their presentation under 15 minutes. Additional time may be granted at council's discretion.
That's good.
Yeah, and that was always the thing, like, you hear Mark Platts when he comes in, he knows, I'm always like, Mark, you had 15 minutes. I mean, I was always telling him, you got 15 minutes, you need to read it.
That's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're killing this.
Well, it's on there, so you need to call for a motion. To call for a motion on the item. I would like to make a motion.
Frank, you can't blur it out, you have to go to the microphone.
I would like to make a motion to table resolution 2026-16 rules of decorum until the next work session.
I have a motion to table resolution 2026-16, rules of decorum, Councilman Zink, second by Councilman Easy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can we also put some of the, when we bring it back to us, bring some of the things we talked about, at least like highlighting or something.
Yeah.
So we're not thinking, what that table?
Yeah.
We missed something in those, on page 34, before we go into the next item. Page 34, it is,
That's the old-fashioned Christmas.
no, it's not. It is, but it's a different piece of it. It's specific. It's to do a snow machine going onto the 200 block of Locust Street by Ingles Restaurant from 6 to 7 every Saturday evening. And luminaries this from 2nd to 5th on Locust, Saturdays only.
That was included in the special.
Yeah, it was to approve the application, and that's all on there, so that's all.
Oh, it just says
Oh,
exclusive.
so it's
Yeah.
not separate from the other ones.
No, I'm
No,
fine with
and now
that.
we're past that one now, so we can't go back to it.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Go around the horn.
No, I'm fine with the way it was.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Sorry
cool.
about that.
So it'll be cool.
Consider appointment of Chief Harley Arndt as the police open records officer for 2026-27.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question on this. I think, Jack, you and I went through this back in January, and there is no differentiation between a police open records officer and the regular open records officer. The way it has always been in the past is we had the open records officer and an alternate open records officer. That was always the borough manager was the officer, and the chief of police was the alternate. At the beginning of this year, since you were acting as both, you wanted to do you as the open records officer and Paula as alternate. So are we putting Holly as the alternate? Or because the only reason I'm asking is the open records legislation is very clear, and it doesn't really allow for 2 open records officers in a municipality because it's too, it leads to confusion as to who's really doing it and who's not. So it is recommended that you only have 1 officer and 1 alternate. Or you could have multiple alternates. But since there's nothing in the legislation that is specific for police open records officer.
Let's make Holly the alternate
and we will assign her the police open records.
Yeah, that was
request.
kind of how it
Right.
had, it was like an informal,
Exactly.
she did the police stuff, but she was the alternate.
Sure, sure. And we'll still leave Paula's name as an active open records alternate on the borough side. Thank you.
So then we should amend the
Motion.
motion to say appointing Holly Arndt as an alternate open records officer.
I amend my motion to consider appointment of Chief Holly Arndt as the alternate open records officer for 2026-2027.
And I don't get these.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, we don't have, it's not in our packet.
Yeah, there's not paperwork for it.
No, we just designated.
Oh, okay. There is no paper for that, Frank. There's no paperwork for that.
What do you mean by that?
The one we just were doing.
I think she was assuming that's what you were gonna ask about.
No,
No?
I'd like to know for sure what that all consists of. My understanding is if I put a request in for the open records, this person would fill that out. What else does that consist of?
That's it.
That's basically it. I mean,
That's it.
they, obviously sometimes they contact me if they get one, but other than that, they are there.
I
make
just wanted to
sure
be clear on that.
records
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? Any questions, concerns? I have a motion on the floor to consider the appointment of Chief Holly Arndt as an alternate, the open records officer for 26-27. Motion by Councilman Byer, second by Councilman Cooper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And we need to make sure that gets changed on the website tomorrow. We've had that problem before too.
Motion to acknowledge resignation from Barbara Fisher from the Planning Commission. Yeah.
So I was wondering,
Did she give a reason?
did she give a reason?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Cooper, to acknowledge the resignation of Barbara Fisher from the Planning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to authorize staff to advertise ordinance 966.
So moved.
Second.
All right,
Mr. President, if I may.
that first.
Sure.
Before we get into this subject, because there's things that I don't agree with, but I want to be clear and open about this. SIA group met with borough staff this past week. They're still interested. We gave them the current ordinance, not the current ordinance, but the proposed ordinance for them to look at, not for them to look at particularly to us, but for them to see what we're considering. I just want that to be out there. Okay.
That being said, I received a red line copy from their attorney from publishing with things that they didn't agree with, whatever. As I was looking through that, I apologize. I had very little time leading up to it. The last month of my life has been out of control. And so I had very little time to really focus. And I ran through it pretty quick when I got it ready for the packet, so I had made a few changes. In reviewing some of the changes proposed by Claudia, there's a lot of, there's some grammar and things and mechanics that I did want to change. I also realized, looking at other model ordinances, there were some things that had been proposed in here that are not in any of the other state model ordinances or guidance from other counties. First off, the community noise equivalent level. That basically from the way I understand it, it's kind of counteracting the rest of the noise.
Yeah, it really, in looking at this and kind of reviewing that further, I tell you, that came from York County Planning Commission, developed a model ordinance, and that's where some of that language comes from. And in looking at what you guys inserted with the decibel levels, both the dBA and the dBc levels, that community noise equivalent level, honestly, it causes more confusion than it does clarity. I think you're better off to just stick with, here are the decibel levels, and that's it. It really, that causes a lot of confusion. I don't think it adds anything really to the protection of the surrounding residents, as far as that is concerned. It just becomes another level to read and keep track of that doesn't, I don't think, add anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I would like to have that part removed because, like I said, it makes it a little too ambiguous.
So would that be just section A?
We gotta put
Absolutely.
That's already
Absolutely.
in. That's already in.
Yep.
So I am proposing to remove that section. In the data center definition, I wanted to add where it says it currently says something about a business, or I want to add a building or group of buildings engaging in storage.
The only reason that that's in there, because I had changed it when I said to you.
Yeah.
Is that matches exactly what's in our ordinance already.
Does it? Okay.
I mean, if we do, we have to change the other one, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let me highlight that then. I mean, does anyone feel we need to do that or just leave it as is?
Leave it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, there was also a suggestion to add a statement onto that data center ordinance to say, including all data center accessory uses and data center electric substations. And I think that's important because it could leave us in a situation where there are accessory uses that are required, and that may not be explicitly spelled out on our table of permitted uses, and therefore it creates a conflict, and it opens up litigation. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, by including that all, I think we are covered.
Yep. And both of those things are already defined in the ordinance as well, so they're not additional
Correct.
needed definitions.
Correct. So I wanted to include that. Let me see here. In sensitive receptors, I'm not quite sure why this suggestion was, but where we say places of worship, playgrounds, parks, excluding trails, I think we want to include trails. However, we could just say community parks and take out that excluding trails.
Sure.
Because if we're, I mean, really, if we're thinking about it, we are going to have a sensitive receptor right behind there.
Yeah.
In that open space.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Okay. Setbacks. We had in the original 200 feet.
That section B.
Ethan suggested 500 feet from all property lines. When I did this, I was just I wasn't really thinking, and I said, you know what, let's just split the difference and we put 350. However, when I was thinking about it, and I was looking at the property with 500 feet setbacks, you wouldn't be able to put anything out there. Anything out there on property. Because nothing is within 500 feet. So it's one thing to have something allowed in your zoning ordinance, and it's another thing to put the restrictions so much that you can't do anything. That's another form of exclusionary zoning. So I think we need to put it back down to the 200.
Yeah, 500 was a number I found from a suggested ordinance from another part of the state.
But I did the same thing she did. I mean, you go and look online, you're making
Right.
exclusionary.
And honestly, that makes sense when you're looking at a hyperscale AI data center, which that property is not big enough for anyway. You're not going to see the issues that we see with a large scale, the hyperscale data centers. You're just not. Because you're looking at all you're going to be having out there is CPUs and everything else, which are, 5 times quieter than a GPU. You're not going to have that. They are 5 times less heat intensive and everything else. So, I'm inclined to say 200. Eric, I know you said you thought they seemed excessive.
I was there with 200. I thought that 350 was excessive.
Yeah, 200.
Right.
Heather, in the current ordinance, those setbacks do change a little bit based upon the size of the data.
Height, yes.
Yeah, the square footage of the data center.
Yes.
The footprint, excuse me.
Yes, and so they would have to comply with not just the data center ordinance, but they would also have to comply with the zoning ordinance for that for that zoning district. And the zoning district setbacks are not less than 200, are they? That was one, that popped into my mind. We have to make sure that we're not being less restrictive on this than we are in the zoning ordinance. And I don't think we are.
I would imagine that the setbacks in the zoning ordinance for the general, they're going to be significantly less than 200 feet, I would imagine.
And I will say that it was requested that we make the setback 150 feet from property lines. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just stick with 200.
And it was also requested that we reduce the setback to 100 feet along the property line abutting land in the conservation zoning district, which would be
the southern portion.
The quarry.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a problem.
No.
Because
It's on the quarry side.
was, let's see, accommodate adequate parking and let's see. She has all kinds of stuff here that it's not marked on her thing.
Should we table this?
Yeah, I would like to table this until I have more time to go through this because I just got it yesterday, and as we all know, my yesterday was a mess. It was a continuation of.
Heather, just so we are, like, to close the loop on the setbacks, in the light business district, the general setbacks are 30 feet in the front yard, the rear is 25, and the side yard is 25 feet.
Oh, so then at 200,
You are much more restrictive, yep. And in the industrial districts, it's 15 feet in the front yard, 15 feet in the rear, and 15 feet on the side yard. So
yeah,
you are significantly more restrictive in these regulations for data centers than just the general.
I'd want that rear setback on the conservation area to be less. Would you?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You want that back as far as possible.
Yep.
30 feet sounds like a good number to me.
Oh,
Because you need room to grade around it, mow.
I mean, on that property, the further back you can get it, the further away from everything else you're getting.
Right,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I'd go 50, but I wouldn't go any lower than that right there. The one thing I did want to mention that I inadvertently neglected to change that I do want to change, and this is going to be a discussion that we do need to have before we table this, and that is the zoning. I did not change it from special exception to conditional use. And I thought we were all in agreement to do it conditional use.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
How married to that request are we?
I like the conditional use better for the reasons you said.
I agree.
Send it back to us.
Can I just explain why this might become, just
Yeah,
so you
please.
guys understand what Heather is getting at here is, if you do it as a conditional use, it is very possible that that decision gets appealed, which can draw out for several years possibly, which would, and that really, any conditional use is going to make closing within those 60 days that the borough code requires impossible, really. By the time you get an application, advertise that conditional use, have the hearing, and then write the decision, you are probably pretty close to 60 days as it is there. Not to mention the appeal period is then another 30 days. And so, and you know, that's where you would have trouble getting that closed within 60 days. And again, it could delay any potential sale for years until that any appeals are finalized.
But the 60 days is only valid during the public auction or sealed bid
Correct.
process.
Yep.
Once we begin to negotiate directly with the purchaser, the 60 days is not in play.
Correct.
Honestly, my thought is, we heard from the public that they wanted us to take our time with this. And for me, that means I'm pretty married to conditional use.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I could approve an ordinance that allowed by right, because I mean, I get the fact that we need to do what's best for our community, but we have to look at all sides of it. And I understand the precarious position we're in financially and everything, but that doesn't mean we should throw everything out the window and let anyone do whatever they want, just to get the money. We have to be thoughtful
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. And I think, I think I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, I will say none of these restrictions would go away if you made it permitted by right? You'd have all of these restrictions still, but yes, if having additional use and having a public hearing is what you guys want, that's 100% within your
Right,
rights.
and I don't really want to write my zoning ordinance to make someone else happy.
The sale of one property.
The
happen,
sale
right?
of
You
one
gotta-
property
yeah,
happen.
Yeah.
To me, that's not,
No.
well, it is for the one property, but it actually,
It's for a couple of properties.
well, this, yeah.
It could be out on Fifth, 460.
And also like to see, community benefits agreement, the agreement for that. They had the money to the fire company, which I think is awesome. That's a great idea. We can make it.
Well, I think these data centers present, I think that's one thing that is incredibly important because these data centers do present, particularly for fire companies,
Yeah.
right, a different level of equipment that may be necessary to be able to fight a fire in there. And so that's something I've seen in a lot of other places, and it is really important to have that as part of
And I don't, in asking for that, I don't want to give up a park.
Yep.
I don't want to give up a basketball court, a
Mhm.
football court, places for kids to play. I don't want to give up all that. That wasn't in this agreement at all.
Well, no, here's the thing. In your ordinance, you don't get specific in your community benefits agreement.
Yep.
Like, that's when I added it, I purposely added it to be open and just gave examples of things that may be required. But it just says, we just need to put in the ordinance that a community benefits agreement must be negotiated and signed by all parties. It's going to vary that agreement is going to vary from project to project. So, that's why the agreement should address the level of clean energy and penalties for non-compliance. Items that may be included are donations to the fire company, donations to programs providing utility assistance, and specific impact fees. That doesn't mean that that's all that could be in it, but that gives people an idea of what is required in our ordinance, that we're going to be asking for community benefits.
Okay, so we need to vote.
Could I ask, Evan explained conditional use, how that works, how the special exception works. I am not for permitting
Permitted by right.
but permitted by right. But I'm fuzzy on the difference between a conditional use and a special exception. That's all I'm asking.
The special exception is basically, we have to give the criteria that would grant them the ability to do this. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of weird because to me, the whole ordinance is the requirements. Exactly, but that's what the MPC says, is that you have to give them the specific.
Yeah, Heather, I'll tell you, Mary,
I don't quite understand. the whole
one of my
word.
colleagues always says a special exception is neither special nor an exception. It basically gives you a list of criteria, and if the person who wants to do whatever the project is meets those criteria, they are permitted to do that. But there are obviously extensive criteria, as you see here, and that is something that is heard by the zoning hearing board, right? So that would go through planning commission first, and then the zoning hearing board would make a decision there. A conditional use is essentially the exact same thing, except that after it goes to the planning commission, the conditional use would come here to the borough council to be heard, and then rather than Attorney Cleary issuing a decision, I would issue a written decision on that. So they're pretty much the same thing. It's just one goes to the zoning hearing board, one would come here to borough council to decide.
And my whole rationale on that, Mary, was that by doing it that way, it makes this board the front line for any blowback from community. It our zoning hearing board out of the line of fire. It takes staff out of the line of fire. It puts this board.
Okay. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 10 minutes ago, you said you recommend they take this to another meeting. You didn't carry no weight on that one. Now, I have a question to Heather. And Heather, I don't mean no disrespect to you in any way, but what qualifies you to write this up to take on this new zoning ordinance?
Well, the same thing that qualifies any of us to do it. I've taken an interest. I've done extensive research. I've participated in discussions with the county. I've talked to a bunch of different municipalities that are putting this ordinance in. I mean, the ordinance came to us, it was a suggestion from Evan, and as a legislative lead, Kelly and I were putting it together and everything. I mean.
And we've had extensive discussions throughout this process, you know,
And it's all not from just one particular agreement that Evan sent us. It's from things that were added on that other, like Effort is doing, other people are doing.
So it's more,
Township.
so it's more than you. Who else is on that committee?
Evan worked on it first, I worked on
Yeah,
it. Kelly
works. You know, we've all worked
So it's you
on
and Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we've all had the
He's not a
chance.
council member,
And
so.
we send it out to council, look at it, see if they think sense of comments back.
I sent comments in a few weeks ago to them as well.
I guess what I'm thinking is somebody needs a college degree to do some of this, and I was wondering if there was qualifications in that part of it.
Well, Frank, I am qualified. I have a bachelor, I have a BA from Franklin Marshall College, and my degree was government.
That's what I was looking for.
There you go.
And my minor was mathematics.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
I didn't finish college, Shannon. I didn't finish college.
Hey, better than going to art college.
No, I'm not questioning that. The special exemption, though, would not then the property have to be posted for a zoning hearing so the neighbors would be able to come and be sworn in as parties and.
Absolutely, and the same thing happens with a conditional use. Yep. It's a public hearing with the council essentially.
Right,
So,
but would you post that then like you do?
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, yep. Yeah,
So-
we would, even if, I believe you do have all of the same requirements as a zoning hearing for a conditional use, but I think even if we did not, we would still do all of we would follow the same procedure that we do for a zoning hearing.
And what is the advantage, you said, of taking the zoning board out of the line of fire? Isn't that why they're on the board to be? Why do we want to take them out of the line? I'm just asking because why do we have a zoning board then if you want to take them out of the line of fire?
For me, it was more of.
For me, it's their volunteers. We
They're
were elected.
Volunteers, and, you know, we were elected, and, I mean, if we're putting this ordinance in and we know it's a hot button issue, you know, I don't want to throw any volunteers into that.
Okay.
Into a mess.
Hard to
I mean,
try to
it-
get
for me,
volunteers.
it was just trying to be respectful. I mean, I got elected to take the abuse. They, you know.
Well, right, but they applied. So, okay, thank you.
Okay. So this conversation's done. We have to vote on.
I had one more thing before it was tabled.
Well, right.
It might be, are you about to talk about the zoning?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Because that's what my concern was going to be, is getting it in so we can have it to the August meeting.
I'm not worried about these.
Okay.
I will say this, I think in light of having just gotten this and some comments, I think everybody needs to have a chance to be heard. I think one more month before this actually is enacted is not going to, I think it's more important to get it right.
Yeah,
and-
totally.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring up, because I know one of the reasons we wanted to discuss this was to get the zoning in before the August county meeting. So I just wanted to see if that's still something we wanted to do, of just submitting the zoning change without the other stuff. Okay, just wanted to check. Thank you.
So,
We have the motion in a second, right?
yes. So would you like to table that to continue the motion to the table?
Yeah, I'll table my motion.
Table it? I have a motion by Councilman Byer, second by Councilman Cooper to table the advertised ordinance for 966. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next one, I understand what we have to do, but do we have to do anything on this?
You do need a motion to remove it from the table.
Yeah.
And vote on that, and
Put it
then,
back on the table.
yep.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we leave this on the table. Yes. Yes, because it's basically a motion to not remove it from the table.
I second that motion. Talk about the ARPA.
Keep it on the table.
The whole point of tabling it last time was because we wanted the data center ordinance to be
Closer to the
Done
table.
before we sent it.
done before we issued this. So if we're not done with the data center ordinance, makes no sense to reissue this. Because I fear that by issuing this before we have the ordinance ready to go, it opens us up to someone saying, it's inconsistent and that you issued this, so we put our stuff in on the original zoning ordinance, and now you're not gonna honor that, and that's liability.
So your motion is to table.
To leave it on the table.
No, not right. Well, we have to.
We have to vote to leave it on the table.
There's a motion on the table.
Yeah,
Did you table it to a time specific?
yeah, so I
So
would,
now you need to do
yeah, I
something.
would like to, I would like to make a motion that we do not remove this from the table and push it to the next workshop.
I already have.
Yep.
So I have a motion to table RFP till the next workshop,
July 6th.
July 7th. Motion was by Councilman Zink, second by Councilman Rogers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye, sorry.
So this next one, we're not gonna,
No, we don't need to take action because that's,
motion to consider approval of sale agreement between the Columbia Economic Development Corporation and the Borough for 137, 147, 149 South Front Street. That is the old firehouse. I believe there are some very slight changes to this.
Yeah, we just received some requests for changes from the CEDC today. So and they are not anything that would materially change this agreement, it's just a couple of language issues. So we can either, I think either if you'd like to table it or approve the agreement of sale as long as it's acceptable to the borough manager and the borough solicitor. I think you could do that as well if you wanted to keep it moving. But like I said, none of those changes are going to materially change this agreement as it's presented.
well, the one, I have a question, and this is not materially changing it, it's a conflict.
Uh-huh.
So, section 3 closing says final closing shall be on or before June 30th, 2026. However, which means next week. And then it says in the due diligence section, the closing within buyer shall have 180 days from the date of the agreement to perform examination of the property, blah, blah, blah. The due diligence period shall automatically be extended by 60 days unless terminated by either party. Well, how can they have 180 days for due diligence if they're closing next week?
It looks like that's what was listed in the contract as a red line change.
Yeah, I think we can update that.
I didn't see it was red line change.
At the end of 3, it
Oh,
says,
yeah.
perhaps closing should take place within 60 days
Yes.
or buyer removing the due diligence period as described.
Yes.
Yep.
That's in,
That's what.
When we originally drafted this a few months ago, that made a lot more sense, but yeah.
And the question about, is the borough willing to pay a TT? I would say yes, because we're basically paying ourselves for the transfer tax.
For one part of it, yeah.
And then we're gonna get that back when they sell it to the other person. We're gonna get that back from the other sale.
Okay.
I mean, that was my thought. I don't know what anyone else is thinking.
That's fine.
Just so I understand, CDC is buying this from the borough.
No.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
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 For a very short period, right? Yes.
An hour.
We're basically in this contract giving them the authority to market that property. Once they market and find a buyer, we will sell to them, and we agree on a price. We will sell to them, they in turn sell to the buyer.
Okay, they're the in-between person. So that amount that they come up with, I don't have that up in my notes. I didn't get
2.15.
2.5. So that's just a number on paper. It really don't mean nothing.
That's the appraised value of the property.
Okay, and then, like you just said, when they sell it, we get our money. So this is the firehouse, this is a sewer plant.
No. This is the firehouse and a couple of properties that surround right around it. Yeah.
Well, it's nothing with the sewer plant or the highway.
It is not.
Oh,
That's already over.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what Evan suggested of agreeing to it with changes that Jack and Evan both agree with.
Motion.
Is there already a motion?
What's that?
Was there already a motion for this?
Aye.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll make a motion to consider approval of a sales agreement between the Columbia Economic Development Corporation and the borough for the 137, 147, and 149 South Front Street property with changes upon under approval by the solicitor and borough manager.
Thank you.
I got you. All right, so I have a motion by Councilman Byer, seconded by Councilman Murphy to approve the sale agreement between the Columbia Economic Development Corporation and the borough for 137, 147, 149 South Front Street with the changes being made and approved by the borough solicitor and the borough manager. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to consider hiring Tracy Weaver for the position of finance manager contingent upon passage of background check and medical evaluation. So, Frank, for your information, the finance manager went through the borough manager, and Brian from
Brown Plus.
Brown Plus accounting firm. She did interviews with them, and then there was 3, but I thought there was 4 plus.
There were multiple interviews. Staff as well interviewed her, and the previous assistant manager, Jim.
So that's who did the interviewing for this position.
Barb Fisher and I also interviewed her.
Yes.
Yeah. And since then, she's been the township treasurer in Mountjoy Township since April of 2024, correct?
That's correct.
So
I also note there's an error in the requested salary. Instead of $81,000, it's actually $83,200.
and that was back and forth negotiation. As you're aware, I know we can afford to jump that high, but at the same token, our salaries are low.
Yeah.
In comparison. So,
And not only that, we're spending significantly more than that on Brown Plus.
Yeah, this was $4,820, maybe $8 cents. Sorry, $4,808.88 to Brown today.
all right, so, Councilman Key is correct. We start talking about the motions now.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to consider or to hire Tracy Weaver for the position of finance manager.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Now discussion. Okay, on our actual job description for the finance manager, it reads, education equivalent to 4 years or more of post-secondary instruction in an accredited college or university in accounting or similar course of study. She does not have any of that. She does have 2 years municipal experience at where she is, but she does not have any of the educational requirements that we have directly in her own job description. And I also think it's an awful lot of money to pay someone who doesn't have the educational qualifications that were specifically in here that we're looking for.
Okay. Sure. Anybody else have any issues with this?
Yes. I think she's been doing the job. I think that she came in and worked with Lori 2 days.
She sat with Lori one afternoon.
One afternoon.
Yes.
And she understood everything Lori was doing. And there were a couple of things that she'd have to learn, but it wasn't much, and she was getting the hang of it, just being there with her. I think that we've tried the educated group, and that hasn't worked. Why don't we try somebody who's actually doing the job?
Those requirements. Their discretionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another suggestion that I heard. People don't want to come here to work. We had discussed way back when about outsourcing this. Have we looked at that to see what those costs are?
We are outsourcing.
We are outsourcing.
Yeah.
We pay.
But I thought there's another place that you could look at to outsource the entire finance department.
I know.
Versus, we did discuss that way back when, but it never went anywhere. I mean, I just think it's an awful lot of money. Okay, and it's over the budget, what was budgeted, the amount budgeted for this person is over.
True.
I understand that, but we just are paying Brown today $4,800.08.
I understand that, Jeannie.
That's just today, in 2 weeks, we're paying them again.
Well, I understand that, but we're also going to continue to pay Brown while she's here till she's not coming in on day one and hitting the ground running and doing the job. We're still gonna have to pay Brown what we're paying them until she's up to speed with the training or whatever to be able to do the job. So we're still having to pay that regardless.
And I want to be clear. Through the interview process, you guys gave her about 6 months, was it?
We laid out a training plan for her, yes, and Councilperson Geezy is correct. It would involve Browns Plus and their professional staff.
We're looking for about 6 months of that.
Or longer. If the person decides to leave, like we did the last time, we're gonna end up paying that longer to do the process again and find someone.
The two questions I have for those that did the interviews, which I was involved in, so just asking, my two biggest concerns in looking through what skill level is there is, number one, is she able to really help us develop a budget? Because we really need a solid workable budget for next year. And the second thing is, as far as evaluation of our systems. I mean, we know some of our systems are antiquated and outdated, and really there's a better way to get from A to B. I mean, you know, not she has to do it herself, but you know, bring in some advice as well. We really need to evaluate our system. We really do.
We discussed budgeting with her. She has the experience and she is confident that she can help in our process. Yes. As far as, I'm sorry, the second
Like
part.
evaluating.
She has already made recommendations to us on some potential changes and cost-saving measures.
Absolutely.
She does have the municipal experience, but if you look back through her resume, she has more experience as an administrative assistant versus being in the finance department.
Well,
That's my last thing.
there is also, she was treasurer at a nonprofit organization from 2018 to 2023. So it's not like she has no finance experience beyond.
She has experience, she just doesn't have the education qualifications that
Sure.
we're
And
specifically looking for.
And I understand that. I'll just say from my experience doing hiring at private companies for obviously a very different thing, a very different type of work, the best workers that we hired were people who did not have that professional experience and who we discounted initially when we were looking through applications. I don't necessarily think that it is make or break to have, you know, a specific degree in a specific field. I care more about somebody doing the job and having the information. And from what I understand from the resume and the interviews, I feel like she fits that criteria for me, at least.
And you don't have people knocking on the door here for this job.
Yeah.
And that's why I
There's
said,
nothing, there's
have
nothing,
we outsourced it?
there's
We talked
nothing,
about that.
but there's nothing like having that employee in-house. If you're around here enough, you see that almost daily there's questions come up that the finance manager needs answered. You can't make phone calls every day, 4 or 5 phone calls asking, how do we do this? How do we do that? Where do we get this money from that? It don't work.
Additionally, her administrative experience might be beneficial because, as I understand it, previous finance managers did handle a good amount of administrative work in addition to the finance manager responsibilities. So in some ways, it's kind of nice to have, for her to have both experiences.
She is very comfortable in the area of human resources,
Mhm.
so she's looking forward to taking on those responsibilities.
What was the difference between the budgeted salary and the negotiated one?
Sure. Currently it's budgeted for 77,000, so the difference is $5,950.
I'll give up my pay to make up that gap.
I will say, when I interviewed her the first time, when I do my interviews, sometimes I ask off-the-wall stuff, but just because, and I rapid-fire questions about things that I knew from the position, just being in it. And the only thing that I was asking her that she did not have full knowledge on was the difference between the pension and the 457B, which, unless you're here in the borough, I can completely understand that because not many municipalities offer the 457B in addition to a pension. So I was not, I felt she would be able to handle it. I see on her application, she's a member of GFOA-PA, which is pretty much anyone that's a member of that is using those resources. So I have no doubt that if she had questions or whatever, and I still get emails of Tammy's that come from that organization, and they're always sending out reminders of, hey, this is, these government reports are due. If you have questions, let us know. Things like that. So, I mean, that's a good organization to belong to. That's good government financing professionals of America.
And that knowledge base was before she worked in Mount Joy, correct?
Well, it's probably as part of Mount Joy, yes. I talked to Justin Evans. He's our planning commission chair. He highly recommends her. I respected his opinion on that. I respect him. Some other people that I've met in different things that are familiar with her, they have all said, they feel that she would do a good job.
Personality-wise, she fits.
She has a very good personality and indicates she likes to be busy and she's a worker, which is what we need here.
And honestly, you hire personality, you can teach skill.
What else?
You sure you got anything else? I enjoy listening to you. You're in charge. You can say yes, no, or whatever. But I figured it was more than what was in the packet. What I got right here, she'd be the least person I would ever hire. Why the difference in wanting the more money? First of all, what a question. I don't want to forget this. So no council people interviewed her for this job at this time. She applied back in 25.
She applied back in 25.
Okay.
She was on a list of candidates. We didn't receive any candidates. So Jack took that list of previous candidates and reached out to her.
Okay, but none of you's interviewed her lately.
Yeah.
Now, she's working for Mountjoy Township, I think it is. So if you hire her and she's another dud, now she's lost her job with the township. I look at what you have done in your hiring recently. The last guy that they hired from Moundville, I sit here that night, you would have thought the way council and the mayor spoke of him, he walked on water. Was he here, what, a week, 2 weeks? Gone. He didn't have a clue, I don't think, of what the job required. And I'll go back to the next question, the question I asked originally. Why the difference in the money? Why 5,000 more?
It's part of negotiation.
What's that?
Part of negotiation.
I will say,
Jack gave her an offer. She came back with a different price.
It did what?
Jack gave her an offer. She countered that offer.
ahead of this meeting,
Wow, we must have a lot of money. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I did do some research on what is the sort of standard salary for a borough finance manager, and it's like 104,000.
Yes.
So we are under significantly what she could be making in other places if she wanted to. But I don't see the difference in $5,000 being that great, in my opinion.
Like I said, you're in charge, you do it the way you want to do it. But when you come up with them figures and you pay 104, 109, 110, you're getting a qualified manager, I would hope. I would hope that the people research it, and that's what we've got and what we're paying for. We're paying a lot of money for something that, she's going to get 6 months training? Are we gonna do the same thing that happened with Jack, that they brought a guy in someone in from another township and trained them? We're gonna pay extra money too? Is it gonna end up being that? Who's gonna train her?
Browns.
Who?
The accounting firm.
Browns Plus.
So what do we gotta pay them?
What we're currently paying them. We'll pay them and we'll pay her.
But that training is also not from scratch, like she hasn't done this before. That's getting her up to speed on our specific situation.
Right.
It's more onboarding than it is training.
That's not an everyday thing.
No.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a good deal of the training will be getting her acclimated with Edmunds, and that's all done by the company, and that's all free.
Ain't nothing free, Heather.
Well, yeah, I mean, we pay Edmunds a lot for our accounting software, but it's not like we're paying them extra.
You talk about what we're paying this accounting firm we have now, but we're not paying them fringe benefits. Now, what you're paying her, you're talking another 35,000 on top of that for fringe benefits. Yeah, that's a lot of money for that job. For a good, qualified person, I probably wouldn't even be standing up here. But from what I see right here, she didn't graduate the school. She got a GED. She had 6 months in grade school. Why? Why are you people talking about this? You're going to pay that kind of money? I don't agree with Zinc, but not Zinc. I'm sorry, Hutchcomer, but I have to agree with her. I just hope somebody does their homework. It's an awful lot of money to pay for somebody that's not experienced. And I know what you put in the packet, and I know what I got here. But I'm sorry, that's.
How long is the probationary period?
90 days.
I think in 90 days, you know what he's going to keep.
I don't think if you're giving up a job if you already have.
You must be pretty confident. You must be confident in your skills.
What a council member had said recently, we don't look too good in our hiring process. That's why we can't get anybody. Well, I'm sorry. Let's go through with this.
I thank you. Any other discussion? I have a motion by Councilman Fire, second by Councilman Cooper, to hire Tracy Weaver for the position of finance manager, contingent upon passage of background check and medical evaluation. Starting salary of
Right.
83,200. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion to consider approval of the trail agreement between the September 11th National Memorial Trail Alliance and the Borough. That's the zoning agreement we spoke about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So just so you are aware, Jack emailed me a copy of this agreement last week. There is one issue with it in that it states that in one of the whereas clauses that the Alliance owns and maintains a recreational trail through the borough. That is not the case. I'm guessing that is from some form agreement that they got. I have emailed, his name is Mr. McCauley. I've emailed him. I haven't heard back yet, but that's the only thing. I think this is a relatively simple agreement to allow them to place those wayfinding signs that he talked about last week. Yeah.
That's basically what it does now. Just placing wayfinding trails.
Yes, yeah.
So can we make a motion, based upon
The satisfactory negotiation of the agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's fine. Yep,
Like we did with
that's
the
exactly
second
what you did with the previous one. Yeah.
The other reason I'm saying that is I know they want to try to have this.
Yeah,
Yeah, get that up. Yep.
Yeah, I will make a motion that we approve the agreement between the borough and the September 11th National Memorial Trail Alliance, contingent upon the satisfactory negotiation on the wording of the owning and maintaining a recreational trail through the borough. Having those changes acceptable to the solicitor and borough manager.
Sunday. You got all that?
Yeah. You have that?
Word for word.
That's
Better
why
not
we
be off.
record.
You knew that, right?
That's why we record them, right?
Yep.
Yep. Sorry, I tried to make it good.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Ziegler, or Zink, second. Sorry. We're getting woozy. Second by Councilman Easy, to consider approval of the trail agreement between September 11th National Memorial Trail Alliance and the borough, contingent upon successful negotiations of
the wording,
and approved by the borough manager and the solicitor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to consider a change in banking institutions from Truist Bank to Fulton Bank. Is it?
Yeah, we looked at 4 banks.
I'll motion that we change banking institutions. Oh, sorry, was someone else talking?
No.
Go ahead.
I would
No,
like to
we
see how
want-
long it was.
Oh, okay.
See how extended it got.
I'll make a motion that we switch banking institutions to Fulton from Truist.
Second.
Okay,
I told you I want
Councilman-
steroids again.
Councilman Cooper.
We interviewed people from Fulton, M&T, Truist, and Northwest. And Fulton evidently altogether had the best offer for us. The least amount of fees and the most interest paid. And they've been around a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot more banks and a lot more government experience, municipal experience than the other 3 banks have.
So just for the rest of council's information, it was borough manager Brian from
Brown.
and Councilman Cooper, who were able to attend all of the meetings.
And also Roy Garf.
So they helped us pay, I'll use the worksheet to go off of. That was very extensive.
Thank you for going into the effort of looking at the different options. I know originally we were just talking about an easy switch, but I do appreciate, even if it's the same result, going into the effort of looking at the options and seeing what our best choice was. So thank you, all of you.
Motion to consider a change in banking institutions from Truist Bank to Fulton Bank. Motion by Councilman Zink, second by Councilman Murphy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There we go. Motion to acknowledge resignation of Patrol Officer Blaine Schaffner.
So moved.
Is that
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Byers, second by Councilman Cooper, to acknowledge the resignation of Patrol Officer Blaine Schaffner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Staff reports, comments, and announcements, solicitor, Cable.
Obviously, we've had a lot going on in the last week with all of the ordinances and these agreements. One thing I will highlight, I did this evening some short training with Chief Arndt on the right to know law to make sure that she is up to speed on everything and is, knows where to come ask questions when she needs them. So that was really good tonight. So that's all I have.
As you know, all those are here. Borough manager.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Boards, commissions, and committees, no upcoming meetings. Minutes approved, planning commission, March 17th, 2026. Borough Council comments, we'll start with Councilman Ziegler.
Just kudos to our Columbia Borough Fire Department and our police department. I know they had that structural fire that involved 3 or 4 buildings at this point. And also to the folks that assisted them. So thank you for your continued bravery and service to the borough. As Mayor Lutz already suggested or commented on, we are going to sit down at 9 o'clock tomorrow, and we're going to be brainstorming some valid, legal, and good ideas in reference to our electronic bike situation, our e-bike situation. So, 9:30.
I was gonna make sure I heard that. 9:30.
But that's it.
Thank you. Councilman.
I will let my comments slide. Nothing overly. Nothing.
Councilman Levy has nothing. Councilman Zick.
Yeah. No one else mentioned it, so I just wanted to let everyone know last week on Tuesday, Congressman Smucker was here to present the official congressional record to Columbia Borough in honor of Columbia 300. He presented the actual record that was read on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives honoring Columbia Borough. And then Wednesday evening, we had the county commissioner meeting here in Columbia Borough, and they presented Columbia with the proclamation in honor of the Columbia 300. So it's pretty cool. I would encourage anyone or elected representatives or as elected officials from outside of the borough, when they come, I'd encourage everyone to come in and meet them, and that FaceTime is always important. So,
You done?
yep. Yeah, I'll be done.
No, that's fine.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Two more representatives also, Senator Malone and Representative Miller also gave us accommodations for.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh, good.
On
I didn't
Friday
see-
night.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't here. I was camping.
Councilman Cooper.
I'd just like to thank everybody who's still here for staying with us. And thank you for coming. You were a good crowd tonight overall. And I thank you for your concern.
Thank you. Councilman Barnes.
Yeah, real quick, just wanted to give an update. I know some people were asking me about the Columbia Borough Municipal Facebook page. So I was speaking with Jack a couple days ago, or maybe it was last week. So at this point, we have tried a lot of avenues in order to get access to the page. We're going to keep trying, but at this point, we are going to create new pages for the market house and for the municipal office. If this changes in the future and we get access, right? Yeah, sorry, my mistake. They got access to that one. It was just the other ones. So we're going to get a new one set up. If at some point we get access to the old one, we'll make that known. But once we have it up, I'll share it. We'll share it on the Crime Watch and all of the other municipal adjacent pages as well to get people to follow it. And we'll figure out the schedule as far as how often and what we're going to be putting there. But it'll be a lot of reminders, announcements of meetings, things like that. So that's it.
Will we be able to, when he does that, will we be able to send one of those messages out? Now we get the message, right? a road's gonna be closed or something like that.
Yes.
So-
Text my code.
Text
Yeah,
like
we
that.
could-
Well, we don't have to use text my code, though. We can use, you want to. Is that what you're asking for? You want to use text my code?
I guess, I didn't know what it was called. So, yeah. That would be.
I do, I see you get like 2 texts on one day and nothing. All right, this coming weekend is Riverfest. I believe it starts Thursday, but I'm not 100% sure. Sunday, they're letting the piers always cross the river. They're shutting down 462 Bridge to observe the piers. And I believe that's from 7 to 9, 6 to 8, that pier. And also, the Finance Committee will be doing a viewing party down there. They'll start with a lecture in the afternoon, with some late acting, I believe. And then food trucks, and they're having Maxwell Project. We're playing down there also as a concert.
And on Saturday, Mama Tribe is playing down in the coffee parking lot.
Yeah.
And the trolley will be running from 10 to 4, I believe. I'll be on it from 2 to 4.
Okay, announcement of next meeting is 7 PM on Tuesday, July 7th, 2026, council will hold a workshop meeting. Need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion by Councilman Zink, second by Councilman Cooper. For adjournment, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jacks?
Jack,
Jack.
Jack, I didn't get down here early enough. But I wanted to